51 total Call of Duty experiences, which probably makes Call of Duty the most, like, developed game imaginable. Like, this probably is the only franchise of gaming where you're reaching, like, half a century worth of actual titles to play through. It's insane. Anyways, though, to bring you in back to
Super
Black
Mario
Ops
Brothers.
6, which, yes, there have been now 6 actual Black Ops games. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, Black Ops Cold War, which is 5, and then you got Black Ops 6, okay? There's 6 games in just this
Black Ops 6
sub-franchise of
now?
Call of Duty, okay? Insane how
I
fast
had
they
no
pump
idea
these
it went
fuckers
that
out.
high. I thought it was
So if you go to
4.
their site, thetruthlies.com, it gets kind of interesting where, again, the advertising is sort of getting people a little bit hyped. So it starts off with multiple channels. You got a bunch of these people breaking into a federally closed area. That area being Mount Rushmore of the United States, okay? A pretty big monument in the country. And so, like, they're breaking in over here, and they're kind of playing on these analog horror vibes. They got these Splinter Cell suits enabled, and they deface an actual monument. So again, the whole concept is the truth lies. So I guess they're playing on the whole idea of, like, the media lies to you and whatnot. They're literally running away. And bam, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Parks and Rangers are there. They've got actual Mount Rushmore. The truth lies. Oh, shit. I won't lie, dude. It's got me a little bit excited. I like it when games kind of delve into that Shadow War conspiracy stuff. And then, of course, they had, like, a few channels that aren't accessible. And then, of course, they've got monuments worldwide defaced. So, again, you've got, like, areas in Germany that have been hit. You've got, you know, places in the United States, since the Statue of Liberty. The Washington Monument is straight up hit. Justice isn't blind. You are. Truth is the first casualty of law. So again, they even got like this crazy TV guide example. If you ever remember the old guide network channels where you hit like channel 5 usually, you start to see like an actual guide of what occurred. Nowadays, people don't even fucking watch television, okay? It doesn't even matter. But yeah, they're kind of tapping into that sort of like, I want to say the analog horror vibe in a way too. And of course, the next thing over here is them putting up posters of like this truth lies campaign that they've kind of got going for it. Now, to give you an idea, I love the advertising that Treyarch does. For instance, back in the days of Black Ops 3, you may not remember it, but this is the actual post that had occurred. Update, sources confirm explosion took place at Singapore research laboratories belonging to Coalescence Corporation. Oh boy. Riot police have dispersed rioting mobs to the southwest of Chinatown using LRAD sonic area control weapons. Oh boy. And then, of course, a 30-mile quarantine zone has been established to contain the area until more info is known. Now, immediately when people looked at this, like some randoms, you know, mom and dad, grandma and grandpa connecting on Twitter, for God forbid, looked at this and thought, oh shit, oh my god, has there been an actual attack? So apparently, according to the news media, the actual like Call of Duty advertising team at the time got spanked with apparently tweeting a fake terrorist attack. Which, like, again, it wasn't that Singaporeans were stupid enough to believe this. It's just people on the internet who got really ass mad because they were like, this isn't right to do. I'm just gonna say it like this: if you're fucking stupid enough to look at Call of Duty with a check mark, tweeting about fake terror attacks in Singapore, then you are actually incapable of rational thoughts. Dog, it's a video game. It's like me looking at Rockstar Games and believing a traffic accident occurred in the city of Los Santos. Ooh, scary. Get out of here, all right? This is the litmus test on checking if people are dumb or they are not. Call of Duty, there have been too many similar tragedies lately to joke in a way you did without making your fiction clear. Really? The crazy EMP attacks in Singapore? That's a commonality everywhere else? Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? So what's kind of crazy about this whole situation with Black Ops, and one of the reasons why I've kind of been excited, is that for a while, people had kind of sat down and wondered where the next bit of Black Ops is going to be. Is it going to go into the future? But they're kind of putting it towards the Gulf War, okay? So around the 90s and maybe the early 2000s, which is actually an era of gaming that I don't think is properly represented in any form of war gaming whatsoever. I don't really hear about a lot of games that take place during the Gulf War. Usually when we talk about modern warfare, it's usually the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan. It's around that period. Nothing in the 90s or the early 2000s is really reflected from my understanding when it comes to a lot of these kind of games. So again, one of the actual things that they had was this van, The Truth Lies, just driving around New York, okay? Now on the surface, you might be like, oh, that's not crazy. It's just an advertisement in New York City. one of the people that were like looking deep into the advertising had found out that one specific date in particular showed up. That was 2001. So given the fact that they're advertising in New York, what happened in 2001 in New York? Well, if we apply our thinking caps, and some of you may not even be old enough to even have been alive during this, but back in 2001, the September 11th attacks rocked the entire world. You know, people always look at like alternate timeline media, like what would happen if like the Nazis had won World War II? No, I actually think about what would happen if 9/11 did not occur. What would be different in the world? Would our security apparatus, would our perceptions of people be a lot different had this massive cataclysm event not had occurred? For anybody that doesn't know what 9/11 is, don't feel ashamed. It happened over 20 years ago at this point. It was actually an attack where the Twin Towers, the largest towers at the time in New York City, from my understanding, and I may be wrong on this, there were actually two planes that flew into those towers. There was one plane that attacked another location, and the other location was, I believe, the Pentagon. There was one failed attack. But the point is, there were actually 4 planes that ended up flying into, or at least intended to fly into, massive, points of the United States, right? The Twin Towers being sort of like a financial capital, the World Trade Centers of not only New York City, the United States, but kind of the world, right? And then you also had the Pentagon, which was a massive security wing of the United States, so to speak. It's where a lot of the, I guess you could say, shadowy defense deals were done. It's a defense epicenter. And then, of course, the 4th actual failed attack, that didn't actually happen, thankfully. These were all very, very cataclysmic points in our history, right? And it's one of the most important points because if anybody was alive during the time, it's interesting to always ask them where they were during September 11, 2001. And out of all of the people that I've asked, everyone can basically remember exactly what they were doing during the time.
There spellbound. We had a party the night before, and we woke up to the newscasts, and we were spellbound for 3 days in my friend's basement. We didn't leave. We just sat there and watched it. And we were like, oh my god, it was just in shock. It was crazy, watching it play out live in real time. It was like the worst day of my life. Absolutely. I was not affected, but I mean, I don't live in New York, but I was affected. I was affected by it, but I was not affected by, something like by the attacks themselves. So it's like, for me, it's always felt sort of selfish to even sort of, make a comparison or anything like that. I was not affected. I am tired today, most tired I've been in months, I think. Long day yesterday.
Me exactly where he was at work. My mom would tell me exactly how she heard it, and they would always remind me of the news that would occur during the time. It literally was an actual massive terror attack that had occurred live in front of everyone's eyes, and it was something where for the few hours after, before, the weeks after, the world literally shifted right there and then. So it's a pretty massive point in human history. And here's the thing. Call of Duty has always covered controversial points, right? They've always had some controversy. If you look at Modern Warfare 2 with no Russian, the Zakhaev international terrorist attack in Moscow, and the game was an entirely fictional thing. So when you start to see September 11, then again, a lot of this is speculation. There's no hard sell that they would ever even touch September 11 in this new Call of Duty game. But it's one of those things where it's set around that same time period, and given the fact that Call of Duty has touched upon some pretty interesting conspiracy theories, like if you ever played through Black Ops 1, you would know, like, literally right at the end, they would actually show you the JFK assassination, where the end point was to show you one character that they zoomed in on, which was the actual protagonist of Call of Duty, Black Ops at the time, Alex Mason, implying that your protagonist actually ended up shooting Kennedy. So it's not like they're against the idea of touching upon conspiracy theories. The point is, would 9/11 be a conspiracy theory they would touch upon? Would it play a role in the game? And the most extreme angle is, some people wonder, will there actually be a playable component of 9/11 in this new Call of Duty game? Which, if they did this, I would buy 10 copies of just to support that level of ballsiness in AAA gaming, especially considering the fact that COD is by extension one of the largest games, one of the most mainstream titles imaginable. People that don't play video games will probably play some Call of Duty. Given the fact Microsoft owns this brand now, I would be surprised if this is a thing that's going to be ever in Call of Duty. And the reality of it is, I don't personally believe 9/11 is going to ever be a playable thing. Maybe it might be mentioned in the game story in terms of context and describing how the world shifts, how the military-industrial complex shifts, how wars shift, how battlefields shift. That might be an interesting point, but I don't really think that this game has the balls to jump in to the conspiracy theories that to this day still surround the subject of 9/11, one of the touchiest, most intricate, points in human history, right? At least in recent human history. And also, given the fact that it is 20 years old, there are still people that are reeling from the aftermaths of it, right? There are people that have genuinely lost their lives on every part of the world because of this specific point in human history. So I don't know if Call of Duty is going to be ballsy enough to touch it, but if they do, my God, is Treyarch really fucking cooking. Again, single player for me is one of the most important parts of these Call of Duty experiences, so I'd be interested to see what they do here. But ladies and gentlemen, wild stuff indeed. Am I kind of looking forward to a Call of Duty game? Yeah, but is it one chance left? Pretty much. I think if this game is going to be like a DLC, storefront-heavy live service game, where, in my opinion, it should just be its own actual proper release like the old days, it might not actually grab me. I don't know. But let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I wanted to talk about it because it is kind of exciting talking about conspiracies, Call of Duty, especially the Treyarch stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like it, dislike it. I am out.
I don't know, Tom smoked. What happened here?
The Rabbit R1 is a tech product
Thank you, CoffeeZilla, for the excellent content from a stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
that has raised tens of millions in venture capital, promised the world, and delivered on almost none of it. Worse, though, it's built on a scam that the founder is now trying to distance himself from. But, hey, where are my manners? I'm trying to be more positive in 2024. So let's let this company introduce themselves at least before we say anything negative.
Hi everyone, my name is Jesse, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rabbit. This is the Rabbit R1. I can speak or type with R1. I can also use R1 to call a ride. I can also use R1 to order food. I can also make R1 to a set of more complex actions. For example, if I want to plan a trip to London, I can just describe what I wish in full to R1. You can order the R1 now at rabbit.tech, and we are shipping Easter 2024.
Well, there you go. That's not so bad. You got yourself a standard tech guy in a black shirt promising the world Apple keynote background. What could go wrong? Oh, and I guess it's past Easter 2024, so the product should have shipped. So before we talk about the scam angle, let's briefly check in with Tech YouTube for how this AI assistant is assistanting.
The thing that you get at the beginning is like borderline non-functional.
Book an Uber to LTT Labs.
The rideshare status is currently unavailable.
Give me a ride.
Apologies. The Uber ride request couldn't be processed.
What is this?
You are holding a taco.
Oh. I could give them a few lessons on positivity. Turns out, basically everyone in the tech sector tag-teamed this product for being non-functional or plain wrong about things that Rabbit said the R1 could handle. Things just weren't working. But what if I told you that wasn't the biggest scam? That this company is built on something much worse? And now that I've been so cheery and positive, let's go down the rabbit hole and see what's under the hood. Yes, it's a bunch of rabbit jokes. So, the first thing we need to do is go to their webpage. The R1 is created by something called Rabbit Incorporated. But this company has a strange history. It was originally registered under a different name, Cyber Manufacture Co. In fact, they changed their name 2 months before their official announcement. And it turns out that name change is pretty significant because Cyber Manufacture Co. wasn't just like a shell company or the same company under a different name. They had separately raised venture capital for a completely different project. Not AI, it was for NFTs. Now, before you laugh, remember this was 2021 when people took NFTs very seriously. According to a press release, the project was called Gamma, and it was at the intersection of gaming, community ownership, and Web3 buzzwords. What does that have to do with AI? Not much. Conversely, Rabbit today also sort of wants nothing to do with crypto. Their founder, Jesse, announces for Rabbit, "Let me be clear, quote, we will never touch crypto. Never." Okay, well that's pretty strong, but given their whole past is built on crypto NFTs, it's a little strange. Now, when Gamma is brought up, Jesse doesn't really deny that he ran the project. He sort of makes it sound like it was no big deal, just kind of a thing of the past. Quote, "Gamma was a fun little project I was involved with during early COVID time. My main work is to build a Unreal Engine 5 space station themed game that I later open sourced. Yes, Gamma released NFTs and I bought a bunch myself just for fun. Never trade, never released any token or crypto coins, and I left that project once the game was open sourced." Well, there you go, haters. Case closed. It was a fun little multi-million-dollar project he did. Just built it on Unreal Engine. He may have sold a few NFTs, but he bought a few NFTs, so, you know, it's not a scam. Please don't look into this. Please do not look into this. This is not a scam. Oh, some people looked into it. First, Emily Shepard, and then the writer and podcaster Ed Zitron jumped in the fray with a great article. Now, I spoke to Ed, and he told me a very different story than Jesse about this Gamma project.
It's so weird, and it's the same company. And in 2021, they raised this $6 million, and then Jesse Liu, across several hours of Clubhouse that I subjected myself to, promised the world and more.
Now, I have to say, promise the world and more is slightly inconsistent with fun little COVID project. So I decided I needed to listen to these recordings of Jesse talking about Gamma myself back in the day and find out who was really telling the truth. Jesse or Jesse?
I don't want to make Gamma, or none of us want to make Gamma as a hype and dump program. This is a legit team with millions of dollars of fundings behind. Basically, we're dumping millions of monies into it just to make sure that it will be a next level experiences.
Okay, I have to admit, it definitely sounds like Ed is right. This is sold as whatever the opposite of a quick NFT hype and dump project is. And this is where things get much weirder.
So NFT is only just the beginning, the very beginning of this. We probably think that the NFT part will only take, no more than 20% of the entire weight of this entire Gamma project. So after NFT, we have this huge, groundbreaking ideas about Gammaverse. Then after that, we have this, again, huge groundbreaking ideas about the clean energy versus Gamma coin, and that the chances that Gamma coin become the first not only carbon neutral but actually carbon negative crypto 2.0 or Bitcoin 2.0. I think that's completes the entire Gamma story.
Hopefully now you're starting to see why I think it's strange for Jesse to claim that Gamma was a fun little project where he never released these tokens or crypto coins, when that's sort of what he promised. He told people he was going to release a carbon negative Bitcoin 2.0, and look, I know it sounds stupid now, but again, 2021 was a different time. And remember, Jesse had millions in backing. It's not hard to see how people took him seriously. He said it didn't matter how the NFTs did. He was going to execute. But where are those millions? The money raised from customers. When the company changed to Rabbit, where did it go? Did it go to develop Rabbit, a completely different project? I don't know. I'd love to sit down with Jesse and find out. What I do know, though, is that so many of the promises of Gamma didn't happen. And this is relevant to the R1, not just because this project is built on the skeleton of that scam project. It's also because the R1 was overhyped in a similar way, as a do-it-all device. But this same company isn't some historyless company. They have a history of abandoning investors like they did with Gamma NFTs. I mean, Jesse even told people who were worried about the NFTs, don't pay attention to that. It's all gonna work out. You just gotta be a true supporter.
I would suggest for our true supporters, do not pay too much detail about the current NFT mechanisms, because that doesn't matter. I can safely say that even if the entire NFT project completely failed, which I don't think that's the case, we're gonna still push the Gammaverse, and we're gonna still push the clean energy and Gamma coin to happen using our funds.
I cannot emphasize enough, that was a lie. That never happened. The clean energy Gamma coin never got published or built or launched, even though Jesse said they were going to do it. They had the money. By the way, we all know it's vaporware, but I think it's important to really hear him sell it, because this is the same guy who wants you to take him seriously when he sells you the future of AI. Take a listen to the whole vision really laid out.
Gamma coin, which is basically Bitcoin 2.0, that is 100% generated by clean energy. And we did the maths, we did the calculations to where if you own over 1,800 milliwatts of clean energy generation, that means you will have extra generated electricity that you can donate back to city grid. So the general concept is, let's say if you own a Gamma NFT, that means you own the equal portion in valuation of your NFTs at that moment of that clean energy grid that we started building in the real world. That means you own that power, that portion of the clean energy solar panels that generates that power. And that means you own that power. And that also means that you own that portion of that power, and that power will be used to generate Gamma coins. That means you can earn your Gamma coins out of this entire clean energy cycle.
All right, let's try to suspend our disbelief for a second here and figure this out. Basically, he's saying buying NFTs somehow would build a clean energy grid, which you would sort of co-own, which would make clean tokens, sort of a thing. And look, I know that sounds a little insane, but the funny thing is, it's sort of the most sensible part of this project, because as I learned, that wasn't even close to the end of it.
They were saying there was going to be a storefront on, I think, Fairfax Avenue across from Supreme in LA. They were going to do a comic book. They claimed there's a Discord
comic
thing.
book?
Yeah, they said a comic book, a TV show, an MMORPG, and at
No!
one point, yes. And then Jesse Liu at one point said that the future of this thing you would control using your brain logic. It is insane.
Am I the only one who doesn't know what brain logic control is? Look, when I first heard this, I thought this cannot be right. This project is already crypto plus NFTs plus clean energy plus comic books. Surely they aren't going to wrap in AI as well, right?
The ultimate goal is that each NPC will be powered by AI algorithms, and then you will be interact directly with them using your natural language and your brain logic. I think that will be the ultimate goal. And when I say ultimate goal, I don't think that's like a 10 years plan. I think, in the next couple of years, we might just have a very good chance to achieve it.
Oh, he did. Promised in 2 years. Okay, well, why not toss in AI to the buzzword salad? In fact, I guess it maybe relates it more to Rabbit. Maybe we do have the connection, right? The brain logic interface is the connection. I mean, why not just make it the Matrix while you're at it?
I mean, it surely is the Matrix to my extent, and to the original concept of the Matrix, that you will be reborn with your alter identity in this metaverse, and whatever you do in the real world matches the exact consequences in the digital world.
Okay, did this man just do the if you die in the game, you die in real life, unironically, while selling NFTs? The answer is yes. And my only follow-up question is, if you get scammed in the metaverse, do you get scammed in real life in this world too? Look, I'm not here to stump for the bigwig venture capitalists who lost their faces on this. At the end of the day, these are both consumer-facing businesses. They got real people to invest real money. The $200 Rabbit R1 and this Gamma NFT project. Both are overhyped. One just already didn't deliver what they promised, while the other is working on fixing it. So, what can be done? Well, for one, the minimum is that the Gamma NFT should be refunded in I mean, this isn't even my crazy, wacky suggestion. Jesse suggested it himself in those Clubhouse calls.
And I gotta pay my money to collect your NFT back if you think this is just an NFT hype and dump project. I have to say that. So the communities will have my words. Anyone that is not envisioning the Gamma to the stage 2 or 3, just want to make the out of stage 1, reach out to me. I will buy your NFTs. Okay, I will buy your Gammas and get it down. Alright?
Alright, we'll take you up on that. Yes, I got a haircut. So I reached out again to Jesse about these refunds, but he didn't respond again. The Rabbit team did, though. They told me Jesse would not refund investors. The quote was out of context. The project was never abandoned. It was actually open sourced. What does that mean? Well, Rabbit claims the Gamma team delivered everything they promised in 3 stages. The one problem is the 3 stages they gave me aren't the 3 stages they promised. The metaverse, by the way, they said they created is not a metaverse. It's an Unreal Engine project file that I downloaded to play. It's based on a starter game called Lyra. You can see the starter assets here. And the things Gamma did do made the game so buggy that it crashed every minute. But it gets worse. The Rabbit team denied Gamma ever promised the carbon negative coin, which they repeatedly promised. They said, the coin you referred to never materialized, nor was it ever promised or delivered. Now, obviously, I thought I had a stroke. Here I was listening to Jesse promise it. But also, he even put it in a video saying, explaining Gamma with our roadmap.
Ultimately, our efforts will lead to the Gamma token, the first ever carbon negative cryptocurrency powered by our sun. Together, we will create a sustainable future for all life on the planet we call home. Join the Discord today and meet your fellow crew members. Gamma.
I don't know how they could have been more clear. I think it's amazing to have them say now, we never promised that. Only to find a roadmap video with you promising, in big letters, carbon negative cryptocurrency. It's just gaslighting at this point to pretend otherwise. What is funny is that Rabbit also mentions clean energy initiatives they say they did, like reducing gas fees. But again, that's not what they promised. They promised a clean energy grid. Jesse also promised it on Discord. His post was in Chinese, but he's clearly talking about open sea transactions being used to buy land to build the clean energy grid, which is going to help mine gamma coins, which is exactly what he said on Clubhouse. I mean, these people are contradicting themselves in multiple languages. So I'll let you decide at the end of the day if the Rabbit team is being honest here. Towards the end, they even tried to tell me that Gamma, in our opinion, and as stated in the fact sheet, has no connection with Rabbit. But the fact sheet they're talking about, they sent me in a document called Gamma Project Fact Sheet. You can't just declare your own facts when it's the same company who made both things, the Rabbit and the Gamma Project. How can you say there's no connection? But after realizing no accountability would be taken and no refunds would be given by this project, I began to feel bad for Gamma investors. It made me wonder, what else is this team hiding? Well, I decided to find out.
That was good. Trustafarians, where the rich pretend to be poor.
Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on in and sit on down because today we're talking about the wealthy baby. But here's the thing. They're hiding in plain sight. You ever see a beautiful woman but it looks like she's dressed like a Native American woman? Oh. You ever see a poor kid on the streets of Portland walking around with the newest and latest tech, yet he looks like a poor piece of shit? Well, you, my friends, might have come in contact with a Trustafarian. Ah, Trustafarians. A beautiful new slang that's come up. Trustafarians is one of my new favorite things to happen online right now. So you're probably thinking to yourself, now Hunter, what exactly is a Trustafarian? Well, let me tell you. A Trustafarian is a wealthy young person who adopts an alternative lifestyle incorporating elements from non-Western cultures. You ever see a bunch of white bitches walking around with headdresses or some shit? Yeah, Nick has. He's like, oh, baby, the dating apps are full of them. It's basically rich kids cosplaying as poor, you know what I mean? Van life. They only walk with their bare feet. You know what I'm talking about? It's just the little things that build up. Which, you know, you've probably seen this little hippie duo dancing around that people make a lot of funny memes on. Me and my friends pretend to be poor to go to Coachella. These people have wealthy parents or some kind of wealthy support system that is funding their, you know, holistic, down-to-earth lifestyle because they're so hip. But really, there's no repercussions because they know they got mommy or daddy's bank account to back them up. They don't need to worry about stable jobs, which means they have all the time and money in the world to travel and meditate and work on their art, all while giving you advice from the comfort.
Must be nice. I fucking worked all my fucking life. There was a couple years there where I was homeless. It didn't work, but most of it, I worked 40 hours a fucking week. Most of it, you know.
Their tricked out, expensive van. It's always very convenient for people to talk about how easy their life is without being off the grid. I get to meditate and I don't have to work a stable job. I just have my van. Also, my dad has extremely deep pockets with BlackRock. Why go to the CEO's BlackRock's house for Thanksgiving dinner? It doesn't matter. Let me tell you, how can you get in with your inner chakra? Says Becky from Los Angeles, California. How do I get into my chakra? Can someone help me access that, please? These people have adopted counterculture as their identity, defined by hedonism and the lack of structure or drive. Oh, essentially what I'm saying is they're modern day hippies. No one likes hippies, dude. I don't think hippies like hippies, honestly. It's completely defined by drug use or asocial behaviors and privilege. Which every time I hear the word fucking privilege now, I want to take these long-ass gross fingernails of mine and drive them into my fucking eye sockets and pull them out. It's the only real word that defines the idea of, like, the kind of power that they actually have. Then they're trying to be like, it's all... Look at, I mean, come on, man, whenever. Dad. Can you deposit $40,000 in my bank account? Thank you.
Who is this?
This also translates very well into voluntourism. Another quirky little saying, which is wealthy kids volunteering abroad. Using the aspect of volunteering at various places across the world, it's like vacationing and patting yourself on the back, which is pretty funny. It's sold to wealthy kids as an opportunity to change the world and discover yourself all at the same time. You get to clean up something, and you get to find out.
When I was young, I slept with this girl in high school who had a crush with me. And that year, she went off to Africa because I was like, Africa? What's in Africa? She's like, oh, I'm gonna go volunteer for Doctors Without Borders. And I was like, oh, you're a doctor? And she's like, no, I'm going to go to Africa and help. Indigenous peoples there get help and stuff. I was like, oh, cool. And I began to realize over the next couple of years, she wore this trip like a badge of honor. But I mean, it was an expensive trip that her parents paid for. And it was a turnoff for me by the end of it. It was like a turnoff. I was actually kind of like, a little disappointed that I gave in and slept with her a little bit. Because she like rode that trip like it was like, like she had just sort of crashed in a plane, while she was flying somewhere, and she ended up there. It was like a desert island survivor there or something like that. It was like she had, like, she learned a lot while she was there. I'm not trying to bring her down, and she was doing a really good thing, but she wore the trip like it was, one of my battle scar stories of like the man who tried to kill me with the fucking circular saw, or the time I was in the madhouse, or any of that stuff. Right? She liked to talk about that a lot. I began to realize later that she was a Trustafarian, and that experience was going to be the only experience in her life, probably. She'd probably come back. I imagine now, and she's a friend. I'm not speaking ill of her. But I imagine now that money probably is like full-blown in her pocket now. And I wonder how she thinks about that trip, now. She probably still really remembers it fondly and like as probably the defining moment of her life. And I do not begrudge her this. But I feel like that trip wasn't about helping or... them. I think it was about her being a tourist, and she kind of lorded being like having done that. She kind of lorded it over us a little bit. Not in a bad way. She was never an unpleasant person ever. But you could tell she was kind of snobby about it. She was like, "Oh, well, why haven't you guys gone and be missionaries in Africa?" And it's like, "Yeah, motherfucker, I would. But I'm not from Africa. I don't have any money. I'm not a Trustafarian. If I go to Africa, somebody's going to have to feed me. And I don't know if that's, food without, Doctors Without Borders or Food Not Bombs or Greenpeace or what. Like, who feeds me when I just go over there,
A better person for yourself, right? It doesn't sound too bad on paper, but then you kind of like look into it, and the opportunities are all manufactured situations of poverty and need.
Like that. I feel like they like she was smoking too much weed at the age of 18 because of my crew. Our crew like pretty much cut everybody's teeth in my school on everything, from like acid to weed to drinking to like shrooms and cigarettes, breaking the rules, that kind of stuff. We were like the bad crew. We weren't the bad kids, but like we were close. And then by the end of it, by junior year, we were the bad kids. We were the bad stoner kids. I got expelled. My friends, they went through some things. My guitarist left the high school. He wouldn't stay, He just went to public school at that point because, like, something had changed about the school pretty bad. And so I learned, like, later on, like, it was weird because I really liked that girl. I actually could see marrying that girl. I liked her. I slept with her. She liked me. She was after me all of high school. It was so annoying. And but when it came down to it, her defining life thing was like this gift from someone else. And that was never the way that I lived my life ever. My defining things were never money established by my parents. I mean, I took a trip to France and my mother paid for that when I was 15 years old. I owe her that one. That she definitely was, you know, the reason that happened. She paid a lot of money for that. It was like $3,700, I think, and she made sure that I could travel. She got me a passport and all this stuff. She wanted me to go with my high school to go tour Tintagel and Camelot and all that stuff, all the Camelot tour in Britain. And she also wanted me to go to France and stuff. So she shelled out thousands of dollars when I was young to make sure that happened. But then everybody in my school did that. Everybody in my school did. As private school kids, we were like expected to do that. We were expected to be worldly and travel, bum around Europe at some point, that kind of thing. It was just sort of expected of us. And we did. And I did. And I would say that, you know, I those were gifts given to me when I was very young by my mother. But by the age of 18, almost all the experiences that I had with my life, I went seeking myself. They were not gifted to me. Although I will say one of the experiences I did was gifted to me. I was able to chase being a WoW raider a lot longer than I should have been able to, because my best friend helped me foot the bill on rent for 2.5 years. And that ran up like 11 grand that I still owe him. And that's unusual, but I mean, he believed that he was sitting there in the room listening to the raids, and he was watching me record them, and he could see that I cared deeply about this stuff, and it was going to be my life's passion and all that. And he was just like, you know, and he had just received trust fund money, so 10 grand to him wasn't much. He inherited some money, and he helped me, and I still owe him that. And I've been paying him very slowly, but I have not had any opportunity in this life. I've had no money. And, you know, the money that I did have, I bought this house with. It's like the only thing I ever managed to reach. And so, I don't know, I sort of resented, like, this thing of, like, wearing that trip to Africa, like it was, like, this thing around your necklace, like a necklace around your neck or something. Like, look at the shiny pendant of me going to Africa as a trust fund baby. And I'm somehow better than you because my parents gave me a lot of money, you know? And I resented that after a bit. And she's not a bad person. I liked her quite a bit. I thought she actually had a very good heart, and she was a wonderful lady. But when she was young, she was kind of insufferable like that. She was a little bit like that, and it irks me that she used the trip to validate herself higher than us. And I ended up kind of avoiding a relationship with her over that. I remember the way she wore that trip around her neck like it was an albatross, you know? And I remember it, and it was a turnoff for me. I was like, yeah, must be nice, you know? Must be nice, you know, to just like have your parents buy your way into a philanthropy position where you get to brag about all the stuff you did and all the places you went and all the, you know, foods you ate and all the things you learned. And that must be nice. You know, my mother did the same thing for me when I was young. But the difference is like, you know, I don't know, she was given it. My mother had to work for it, slave away for a couple of years to even reach it. And it was worth it for her to do that. It was educational for me, but, you know, it wasn't the same thing as this. It's kind of weird.
Kids as opportunity.
I thought myself that all my life I wanted to go to Africa and show her up, because I get the feeling that she was a tourist and that they did pay for her and that Daddy and Mommy got her out of there, but she was tired of it and all this. And I still have this conviction that I still want to go to Africa and do what she did, but I don't want to use some organization that backs me while I'm doing it. I want to go on my own money and prove to the world that I did something of my own volition and I didn't use someone else's money or time or auspices. I just went and did something, you know, helpful, like Mr. Beast or whatever.
growth and appeal in college admission projects. So literally, it's all fabricated, like fucking Westworld or something like that. All for kids to be like, God, I'm such a good person as they fly back on their private jet.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what's her attitude. She came back with that attitude. She was like, I'm such a good person. None of my friends have done anything with their lives. And you can see she didn't say it, but you can tell she thought it. She thought all of us were, like, totally, you know, like, totally, like, I don't know what the word would be, like, kind of faking being, like, punk. But I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I think in the end, we helped our own community a lot more than she helped some community that we never ever saw again. You know, that's cool if you want to go help somebody in Africa, but we got enough inner cities here. What I did do for any inner cities here was help fix up kids' bikes for free for years. I helped, you know, fill inner tubes. I helped fucking like fix chains, and I would help like monitor the tools so they wouldn't get stolen, so we could get the stuff done that we needed to get done. You know, we would take bikes and we would make projects out of them, like unicycles and stuff like that, and give them away so kids could learn to do something other than, you know, gang banging and that kind of thing. And I would say, like, you know, in the end, I actually have more esteem for what I did with that than what she did over in Africa, because A, it was a trust fund thing. B, we don't live in Africa. C, you know, etc. I'm not going to say a bunch of negative things about philanthropy, which doesn't make sense. But I mean, it was about the bragging rights. She did that for the bragging rights. I would do it because I would sleep better at night. I would go to bed with a smile on my face. Remember the kick-ass stuff we did for them? You know, man, I'm gonna fall asleep daydreaming about how awesome it was that we did that, you know, kind of thing. Like, to me, it's not about the credit, it's about the win, you know, like the amount of like people's, like the amount of throughput towards like their you know, their domestic happiness index kind of thing.
It on paper for like Harvard applications or other kind of like elite school applications. It's all bullshit. Today's video is sponsored by our partners at Factor. Are you looking to eat healthier but don't have the time? Well, Factor is here for you. Factor's a subscription service that brings nutritious meals to your door. All you need is 2 minutes to heat, eat, and enjoy. Factor has been my go-to dinner when I'm working at the studio. I like it because the food is restaurant quality, but it's quick and easy to clean up. Plus, Factor is flexible, so I can adjust my order size as I need to, without any hassle. And with over 35 meals to choose from each week, and specialty options like keto, calorie smart, and vegan, you're sure to find a dish that works for you. During the week, it's hard to keep up with everything, so skip the grocery store line, the prep work, and cooking fatigue, and get Factor. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code PAPAMeat50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month's orders. That's code PAPAMeat50 at Factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Thank you so much, Factor, for sponsoring this video. And back to the video. The work is fake, the situations are manufactured, and the expenses to
The work is fake, and I suspected a lot of it was that. I actually suspected that she was, like, actually kind of a liability over there as opposed to a benefit. And I disliked her for this all of my life, which is unfair to her. All she was trying to do is help people. But I held it against her. I was like, I never had a word for this, but I know what it is now. Trustafarian, right? She was a Trustafarian, and it's weird because she was one of the women I would have shopped as a wife, even. You know, I was like, well, I'm not that attracted to her, but I mean, you know, but I mean, I would marry her. I think we could get along. She's got a good brain, kind of thing. But when I went shopping her, I was like, the Trustafarian thing kind of irked me a little bit. How real of a person are you actually? If the parents bought your Trustafarian trip to Africa where you were a missionary, you know, and it's weird. And I dislike the negative sides of me, but I mean, I know why she was doing what she did and why. And I mean, how and why. I mean, I know why she did what she did. And she could never figure it out. I didn't want to tell her. It was way too mean. I didn't have a word for it. I felt that, like, if she had asked me and I would have been forced to give an honest answer, like, say if it's some weird hypothetical situation where I have a truth serum and I have to answer her. If she were to ask me why I didn't pursue her and I turned her down in the end for like a real long-term relationship, was that, you know, that was the Trustafarian thing. She seemed just disingenuous to me. And disingenuous is a bad look to me, even in women. If they're after something, you know, I really like it when they're just honest about it. I like it when they just tell you. I'm totally okay with that, actually. I really respect humans who have the strength to just fucking blurt out and tell you what it is they want from you, right? I feel that she was playing this weird dance with, like, trying to create an impression for future employers so she could have her nice cushy life and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of clout chasing here and sort of weird, like, self-promotion that I don't really understand, and I don't know, I've never known you to be after the trip. She wasn't a selfish person anymore. But before she left, she was kind of a selfish, bratty type girl. She was definitely bratty. Her sister was not. Her sister was in my class, but she was, and she was definitely a kind of a bratty younger sister type. And she thought she knew better. She had that smug look on her fucking face all the time, and it bothered me. And sacrosanct, holier than thou is a bad look to me, especially in women. It's weird. It's like, not in women, but like, no, I don't care about women. That sounds misogynist. It's not like I dislike when women are, you know, disingenuous. I dislike when humans are disingenuous. It's not a good look. And when women do it, it's really, like, kind of annoying. Because oftentimes when men do it, they have, like, a very real and verifiable reason that they're doing that to you. They don't like you, or there's some money involved, or some kind of business opportunity or something. But with women, when they're like disingenuous, it often leads to really nasty situations. At least for me. It's way worse when women are sort of deceitful, in my experience. Because I tend to trust them a lot more, and then if they do something nasty, it can surprise you a lot more, you know. Because you're like, oh, you know, it's kind of sexist, but I think of women not as like the fairer sex like they always talked about, which is to me kind of a sexist statement. I think of them as the logical sex. And when they do illogical things, or they're disingenuous, you know, it bothers me more when a woman does that than it does men, because I've come to expect it from men, but with women I don't expect that with women.
They're big, a lot. I mean, talking about like spending $6,000 to go help somebody volunteer.
Yep. We all knew what that trip was. Like I was like, oh, so you went to Africa for a whole year. Yeah, we had to, as I remember, they had to reschedule her flight, or not reschedule, but they had to reschedule, I guess is the word, like, but as she was leaving, she stayed there again, or not stay again, but she ended up staying like 2 weeks longer than she meant to, and they rescheduled the plane, and there was like all this syncing of schedule stuff that had to happen to get her out of there and all that. It was kind of crazy, and I think, you know, I think if your schedule as a missionary is like flexible, you have a lot of money, right? If you're a missionary overseas and you have a flexible schedule like that, where they can just get you another plane ticket 3 weeks later, you have money and backing. You are a richer. You are like a Trustafarian.
To go cosplay as a good person. When I say it like that, it's really funny. It's really funny, but at the same time,
it's like she went cosplaying.
And the profits and money generated to help the poverty-stricken situations they're in are rarely, if ever, given to the actual cause.
Yeah, like, and it sucks. And then we begin to realize, like, in the end, when she came home, her main complaint was that she didn't feel like she had done anything at all. Like, all of her work for a year was just a drop in the bucket. And that was also unfulfilling, kind of, too. I feel for her when it comes to that. It's like she gave a whole year of her life trying to do the missionary thing and save people. I really respect that she actually went and did something with her life. I'm not trying to say I don't. I do. I really respect it. But you could tell at the end she was disappointed with her own experience with it, which also made it even more disingenuous. I would think that if you're going to do something crazy like go to Africa for a year and work as a missionary when you're young, then you would at least think of it fondly afterwards. But I think she thought of it as like, you know, not wasted time, but like just like ineffectual time. Like she couldn't actually get anything done. And that's how you know it's a Trustafarian. I think a normal person, if they donate a year of their life and they're just there and they're just doing it, I think they're going to take immense pleasure in it. She didn't seem to. She took a lot of pleasure in it. She bragged a lot. She was very happy that she did it. But I don't think she took the kind of pleasure that a person would take if they were truly doing it out of the sense of like philanthropy and true joy and you know, and like love for their fellow human being. I think she was doing it for the clout and the accolades, you know? I definitely do. And so it was a turnoff. Later on, she asked me why I never slept with her again. And I don't remember what I said, but I definitely didn't tell her the truth. And I remember why. I remember thinking, the Africa trip made you seem like this trust fund kid who was kind of like touristing the lower class or something like that. And it was what she was doing. She was sleeping with the lower class bandit guy. She was sleeping overseas in Africa, trying to be a missionary. She was trying to what I call dumpster dive. She was like dumpster diving, and to me, that's tourism, which in a rich person is kind of like a negative thing, because rather than spend the money on the plane tickets so you can go over and pretend you're a good person, why not just send them money? You know, just send them money. You know, buy them food directly.
That they're helping, which is a lot of charities, but still, it's just volunteerism. It feels like other areas too, where people get to go on social media and be like, we're actually going to clean up this river and do this kind of thing. We're gonna go here to help. Which there's a little meme here that I thought was pretty funny. It's the Rich Suburban Kid Spiritual Transformation Starter Pack. I know some people like this, which is rich kid, smokes a lot of pot, comes from a really good family, becomes woke, quits a job.
There's this hilarious line that Lonely Island had in this song called Rastafari, where he's just talking about how when he was 18 he grew dreads, and he declared himself a Rastafarian. And the funniest line in the song is like, I told my bumba clock parents that I was switching religions. It was so fucking funny. I told my bumba clock parents I was switching religions. I always thought that was such a funny fucking line. It's like every parent's worst nightmare. So my white bread fucking, you know, ginger fucking kid from Ireland got obsessed with the Rastafarian movement and Haile Selassie when they were young, and I mean I did too. Trust me, but I mean, like, you know, but some of us kind of went full blown granola and started braiding our hair and looking like weird white people that are granola hippie, and you know, it's sort of weird. And some of us took it to heart and kind of did that whole thing. It's kind of funny, you know. I have definitely worn dreads on stage and stuff, but that was because I wanted to look like Jonathan Davis from Korn. It wasn't some fucking, like, I told my bumba clock parents that I was switching religions kind of joke. It's a little bit different.
Put that still rich. Gross man bun. This is the real essential starter. When the man bun kicks in, I need a man.
I told my bumba clock parents. It was just so funny. It's such a funny joke, actually. Such a fucking Yale joke. Something like Natalie Portman would say. I told my bumba clock parents I was switching religions. That song's so funny. Lonely Island was such a good band.
Bitch, you hear me? Money. Takes year-long vacation to India, becomes Buddhist, tells everyone on Facebook how he doesn't believe
a year-long vacation to the, and it's funny because my best friend kind of did this too, but you know, he took like a 4-year-long sojourn to India to live on in an ashram over there. And in doing so, he ended up being the great white hope for that sect of believers who were like, you know, they were worshiping this man named Sri Kaleshwar, who's now passed. I've met him before he passed. Wonderful man. And they all followed him like he was their religious leader, because he was. And somehow my white best friend ended up being the protege of Sri Kaleshwar, who, I don't know how a guy from India ended up with, and I mean, like, you know, he's like a fucking, you know, like a magical man from India who has a temple with 35,000 members, some of them still living on the commune and all this. You know, I don't understand why he chose a white kid for this, but he chose my best friend for that, which is really weird. He was like, "You will represent me in Denver," and like, okay.
iPhone runs out of money, moves back home, continues to make posts about awareness. This cycle is cyclical. Sometimes you move back home and it all starts again. Smoke pot, go, you know, it all happens. Maybe at some point when he turns Buddhist, he cuts off the man bun, regrows it, then goes back to India. There are some people we wanted to talk about in this. There are the cornerstones of the Mount Rushmore of Trustafarians, which first off, we'll start off with probably the head eagle, the head shaman of it all, which is Shannon Blake. You've probably seen this beautiful woman pop up in your time.
Yeah, she's hot.
Shannon Blake. I tell you what, no wonder. Well, looking up Shannon Blake tickets on Ticketmaster, no wonder those motherfuckers are sold out. Looking how she dresses on stage, god damn. Hey, my ass became a whole lot more spiritual after looking up some Shannon Blake songs, god damn. And it's after she had a child, which, listen up, ladies, there's really no excuse. Show the picture of Shannon Blake, there's no excuse. That you can have a kid, you can't have a body like that. And I'll stand by that. Not a single stretch mark. How's that possible, Nick?
Cocoa butter.
Cocoa butter. Holistic teachings. Which I smoked the ayahuasca with the shaman. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But Shannon Blake is a shining example of true Trustafarianism culture, adopting bits and pieces of third world countries as their persona, mixing it together into an amalgamation of neo, folk, urban, bardic, LSD, kratom fever. Apparently it's ayahuasca. What the fuck is ayahuasca actually?
It's a
plant.
Medicinal
is it just some other
plant
drug shit?
That is, it is used by shamans in the Native American culture to see the ancestral spirits, and it is a very sacred Native American rite.
Thing that will fucking destroy your mind.
You smoke ayahuasca to get the demons out of your head, but really it's just the fucking key that unlocks the door for them to come in.
It's actually
I've done Datura, a lot
Oh, it's a
of
drink.
I think so.
Ayahuasca, dude. When are we gonna get some ayahuasca? Where's my chug
You have
jug?
to know
Need
people
to get some
nation.
ayahuasca chug jug. She's described as an e-girl conspiracy theorist. Her songs on TikTok have gone viral. This is the one that blew up. And has hate baited everyone. Do you think this is for hate bait? Like she wants. I think that she believes it.
It's genuine.
We probably can't play the song, but we can at least have the lyrics up here. God, Shannon, what I wouldn't give to just be in that car with you. That Holy Mountain white hat, though, is pretty crazy.
What's crazy is people love her music.
The biggest part of that, she's talking about using pyramids for time traveling. Yeah, you know what? So what? Shannon Blake likes to time travel with the fucking pyramids, dude. You know what? Have you drank the ayahuasca with the shamans in Peru?
I'm going to with her.
I'm going to in my dreams with her. This is me astral projecting myself front row at one of her concerts. Oh, dude, do your thing. Woo! I'm actually getting too sucked in. I'm feeling too much of the vibe, dude. She refers to her followers as little shroomies. She's a role model for countless wealthy kids who idolize her lifestyle. People expect.
I really dislike the amount of fucking popularity that psilocybin has gained, because in my experience, and I have a lot of experience with this, I'm talking Hunter S. Thompson, motherfucking Carlos Castaneda experience with a lot of psychedelics. In my experience, I'd say maybe about 1 in every 1,000 people can actually handle a true psilocybin trip. And I see all these scrubs lining up to just fucking fix their minds with legalized shrooms and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think, ooh, look, I pulled a homing missile launcher. I wonder if I can kill the tank with this and take its loot? I guess so. I don't know why I picked up a homing missile launcher, but okay. Nice. Time to go. Oh, I did my stop. I keep forgetting that I need pipes. I keep recycling them by habit. It's so annoying. I have to keep going north of the gas station so I can hit like 3 more stop signs and make revolvers and shotguns and stuff.
And other places are very quick to go to Shannon Blake and say that her parents are wealthy and that she comes from a place of privilege. How dare you?
It doesn't matter where you come from, though. If you are teaching spiritual enlightenment, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or middle class. That is immaterial to the message. The message is not one of money. Just because her parents have money or she has money, that does not mean anything. Like now, I'm sure it helped her get her exposure. And I suppose you can make an argument that she has a little bit of a stacked deck there. You know, she's got a little bit of an advantage that other people might not have. But I mean, is that bad? Are we a hater? I mean, I don't care. Is that a bad thing that this lovely lady has success? I don't think so. It does not bother me. I mean, what does that matter?
Actually, she made a post that said that for the people in the back, I'm Native American, Hispanic, and Irish. A crazy mix. Just a dash of Irish on top of that. I grew up in a family that speaks a fluent Spanish, visiting my relatives in Mexico, often eating homemade tacos. Why is that relevant? You know your back's against the wall when you're just like, I'm a Hispanic and I eat homemade tacos, okay? No, okay, we went to Taco Bell once or twice, but it was just because it was around the corner. God. I grew up doing plant medicine, burning sage, doing sweat lodges and TPIS, and connecting with my ancestors as part of my culture. My great-great-grandfather was a famous Cherokee chief, so please stop telling me what their race is and what they can't do. You are unaware. That's offensive. If someone has light skin, blah, 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 being rude and disrespectful, it's offensive when you say those hateful things too. You know what? True. To give her credit, I want to say that I don't think that she's a rich kid. I will give Shannon Blake my undivided attention. I will. She's the perfect thing to actually inspire Trustafarian. She's up there. She's a tender, beautiful soul. She just uses kind of like a buzzword salad mix of it, and it's all kind of the same kind of stuff, whatever. But, you know, she's doing her own thing, but that doesn't stop the fact that, you know what, she's the staple for what Trustafarians aim to be. With over 1.1 million followers on Instagram, Shannon Blake calls herself an affirmation musician full of vibes, positivity, and for only $12.50 a month, you can see her boobies. Should we say that? She does have an OnlyFans, so I bet she's doing pretty f***ing good. Star from the bottom, now we're here. Not Drake, though, because the security guard got shot or something. I would hate to be Drake right now. Don't be the fuck, am I kidding? I would love to be Drake right now. Are you kidding me?
Well, he's being called out as a
maybe I wouldn't like to be called Drake then right now. Her OnlyFans says you get an uncensored look into her life, foot emoji, barefoot dancing naked in nature, yoga, hula hooping, and playing outdoors in the ocean, waterfalls, hot springs, mountains. So we got $12.50 this morning. So that's a business expense, I'm pretty sure. Can we get the accountant on the phone? Can we just do just as an expense business? Okay, cool. Which her aesthetic, I will say, it's drawn from several cultures like India, you know, island culture, Hawaii, Native American, you know, Druid kind of thing. But let's take a look at her home. Shannon Blake's house tour, Lake Tahoe. Oh, dude, living off Lake Tahoe? No, we'll do that. OnlyFans. We gotta start an OnlyFans soon, dude. Something. How much money do you think realistically we can make? Let me just say, do you think I can make at least $1 million? OnlyFans? If you want to fucking put me down, feel free to put me down, but why don't you set me down gently next time, you son of a bitch? Sharon Blake's in Lake Tahoe! It's a fucking awesome house. Lake Tahoe? It's fucking beautiful. Good genetics, man. That's all you need. Good genetics. We got f***ed, didn't we? Maybe you're a good looking guy. I got f***ed my dog mother and my bullfrog dad. Which these are some other cosplayers who kind of go in this way, which is Connor Sullivan. He shows himself traveling around impoverished areas of India, despite the fact that he's obviously got a good personal guard and private transportation. His entire journey is just sightseeing the Lord. And Drew Binsky, who talks about how he got diarrhea from eating Indian food and, you know, doing that, and how Indian people thought he looked funny because he's different. Drew Binsky, the naked guru. Expat moves to Thailand, talks about why everyone is leaving. Lost LeBlanc, one of many YouTubers who travel around the world and show off all the fun things they can do for cheap. Dollar dinners and dangerous backpacking, baby. Yeah! Get the fuck out of my way, poor person. Get out! Backpacking bananas! Solo woman traveling through Istanbul, Turkey. She's really, really brave. Very brave. She knows no She goes through her budget here.
In 30 days, I spent 21,000 Turkish lira. I paid 850 lira for the tandem skydive. I did 2 fun dives, and this cost 500 lira. 600 lira on my very first hotel, and this room was 834 lira per night.
People ask, why do they do this? Why go through the struggle of all this, right? One, the spiritual journey. You got to get connected with your chakra, with God, the universe.
What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that.
With voluntourism, for only $3,000, you can volunteer at an orphanage, teach English, and help build a school, all while being entertained by locals, going on safaris, and enjoying local culture. Doesn't sound too bad. According to the NPR, the youth travel.
She was not a trustafarian because the money wasn't really that big of a thing for her family. I don't think she was that rich. I think she was the other thing he said. What he just said. I lost it again. It's what he just said.
And currently valued at an estimated $173 billion.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Which it usually results in something like this. Okay, well, why does the beat actually kind of hit so hard, though? Am here dancing. That is really pog, and I do like that. So she just go around teaching people dances in impoverished countries? They're like, that was so fun. She's like, don't touch me! After the shoot, has hand sanitizer.
At least these kids are making money through TikTok, right?
Oh, sure. I'm sure she's definitely sharing her wealth from TikTok to those people. Building a library! One of the tasks is building sites for betterment and enrichment. Oftentimes, these sites have rich Western kids acting on sites where their construction work is so poor that the actual laborers come in at the end of the day to redo everything they did. The act of building is purely superficial. They're doing nothing better to help the kids. I tell you what, we're really railing into these motherfuckers, aren't we? Taken from Pippa Biddle's blog about her experience. Our mission while at the orphanage was to build a library. It turns out that we, a group of highly educated private boarding school students, were so bad at the most basic construction work that each night the men had to take down the structurally unsound bricks we had laid and rebuild the structure so that when we woke up in the morning, we would be unaware of our failure. It is likely that this was a daily ritual. Us mixing cement and laying bricks for 6+ hours, them undoing our work after the sunset, relaying the bricks, and then acting as if nothing had happened so the cycle could continue. That is unbelievable. And a lot of the things that are donated, like bundles of goods, are often sold or given away to friends and family of managers because if the kids have nice bedding and toys, then nobody will want to actually give them anything. So they actually just take the good shit, like, I don't know, like a fucking Turbo Man action figure, and they're like, get that out of here. We actually need other shit. In countries like Uganda, thriving textile and clothing markets were driven out of business, putting entire towns and families into poverty. Textile factories were shuttered and no work has to be done. Farms for cotton were closed down, factories for dye and weaving were halted, and design and sewing industries destroyed. Donated clothing is received, repackaged, and resold so far cheaper that it can be made. 81% of all clothing sales are secondhand. So all the shit that people donate, they just package up and resell, and it takes all of their actual manufacturing projects and completely destroys them because you have people coming in being like, a Supreme shirt! Yes! Oh my god, Nike Air Maxes! Yes! So they just immediately take them and sell them to somebody else. Many East African countries have actually banned the secondhand clothing. I can see that. Voluntourists were given extravagant meals while the kids, who were made to eat separately, ate beans. The interactions between the Trustafarians and the kids in the orphanage lead to the Americans often giving them very bad social advice regarding sexuality and lifestyle that could have put them in great danger. Oftentimes, money that is donated for medical care never actually ends up going to medical care. And the kids in these orphanages aren't even orphans. They're undocumented, anonymous, and abandoned or kidnapped for the process, often connected to sex trafficking. Do you feel good? Do you feel happy about these manufactured events that rich people are gonna be like, oh, you're an orphan! And the kid's just like, get me the f out of here, please. The entire process creates an industry that does more harm than good. Feels good being a Westerner sometime.
Yeah.
I tell you what. Their emotional savior complexes are driving out industry, reducing independence, and causing hostile markets. Which sometimes, too, it's the journey of experience. The ability to forever say, you know, when I was 20, I went to Africa, and I gave a guy a Supreme shirt, and we did TikTok dances all day. It was such a riot. Wonder what he's doing now. The India gap year, part of the allure of the cheap lifestyle and relative extravagance, is easily achievable in India. It creates a fantasy that can be lived. A popular idea among young Westerners or upper middle class income is that they can take a gap year between high school and college, or even during college, to achieve self-discovery. The appeal of an independent journey is to an exotic location.
When you think about that, it's a whole year worth of 3 meals a day or whatever. Yeah, when you're that young, it's like 3 meals a day. You're eating 3 meals a day. It's expensive. You're still growing your brain and your body and stuff. And so you got to remember, like how expensive is that really? There's the plane ticket over, the plane ticket back. That's $3,000 at the very least. I mean, even back then it was like $3,000. It's more like $5,000 now. It's like $5,000 just for the ticket, right? Then like it's probably more like $4,000. It's probably like $4,000 right now. And that's the first bit is the ticket there and back. And then there's all the meals while you're there. Who pays that? Is it the organization that you're working with or whatever? You're going to realize that they're actually more of a liability over there than they are a help, even maybe. That it might actually be harmful that they do this. It might actually be kind of really harmful because people who would be actually helping might not be there because they're there. Or or they're like, or they have to spend money fixing the stuff that they can't, they themselves aren't skilled enough to do.
It really is. I'll just do my red shirt this year and go to India and kind of see who I am as a person. You know what I don't understand about that? If you don't know the culture or speak the language or anything, how the f are you going to find yourself there?
The guide you pay.
Yep.
Oh, the guide you pay, that's right.
The
When you
guide.
get there, he's like, everybody in India speaks English? Oh my god, Louis Vuitton store in India? That's POG!
Can I take a gap year?
No, you can't take a gap year, dude.
My spiritual...
I don't care. There's work to be done here, my friend. There are so many programs offering just that. Pay to tour, volunteer to experience. Even during COVID, these programs were advertised as ways to get away from the disease. Get the hell away from COVID and just go to India. It's perfectly fine there. The spiritual journey of backpacking. The amount of fucking people. I just backpacked across Europe. We backpacked across Asia. Sure, many kids go to summer journey, backpacking across Europe and staying in hostels.
Oh, damn it.
Unaccustomed to the culture, the food, and the language, they're encouraged to confidently set food into dangerous areas to experience life. This moral and spiritual enlightenment is sold to them from scammers and actors pitching products to kids who never had to struggle to define them. So we do have our Trustafarians, right? We have our voluntourisms, right?
Voluntourist.
But we also have
Voluntourist is what she
affluenzas.
was.
The name's...
Voluntourist is what she was. She was a voluntourist, and that's okay. But she acted like it made her better than us, than all of us, and it was a turnoff to me. I was willing to marry that girl, But when she came home from Africa, she it was you could tell voluntourism, I had never heard a word for it or even what the concept was. But definitely. Shout out to A. You know who you are.
Which affluenza is a social condition. Individuals desire to be wealthier or more successful than others. The inability of an individual to appropriately understand consequences due to social status or economic privilege. Are you staying along with me, sweetie? Are you keeping up? I hope so. Affluenza is a pseudo-scientific term that refers to the unhealthy psychological and social effects of wealth. Term popularized in 2013 by Ethan Couch, who is the affluenza kid, who at the age of 16 killed 4 people during a DUI. Sentenced to 10 years probation and therapy in 2013, Couch's defense argued that he lacked a moral compass and didn't know right from wrong.
And he ran away. He ran away to Mexico, I think, if I recall. And they had to catch him.
because of his wealthy family and thus needed therapy, not prison. This is me on that cliff in Creed song, One Last Breath, and that's just me fucking, this is me jumping off. Because what is that, dude? I'm jumping off. Because what is, that's me. Anytime I do this now, you know I'm done with it. Tired. And he was spotted drinking at a party in 2015 and found in violation of probation. His mother hid him in Mexico for a time until he returned and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Returned to prison in 2020 for failing a drug test for THC, which he argued came from CBD oil. The year prior to killing 4 individuals, he was caught under the influence with a naked, unconscious 14-year-old girl and was given 12 hours of community service and probation.
A naked, unconscious 12-year-old girl? Is that what you said? 14-year-old girl?
Until he returned and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Returned to prison in 2020 for failing a drug test for THC, which he argued came from CBD oil. The year prior to killing 4 individuals, he was caught under the influence with a naked, unconscious 14-year-old girl and was given
a naked, unconscious 14-year-old girl.
12 hours of community service and probation.
For what? Like child molestation?
Okay, done with it, Nick. Moving on from that, in 2010, an epidemic of rich kids roaming the streets of Bangkok unchecked came to light when Oracord, a 17-year-old woman, rear-ended another...
That's my life. Ready to jump. You don't need to hurt me any more than I've hurt myself, don't worry. I'm ready to...
vehicle while texting, killing 9 of the 14 passengers.
Oh good, 9 of the 14!
Of whom 5 were seriously injured. A texting incident?
14 people in one car.
14 people in one car. It's a goddamn clown car, dude. Immediately after the wreck, she stood next to her wrecked car and victims laying out in the streets to finish texting her friends.
She's just gonna keep texting.
Was said to receive...
I just killed a whole bunch of people.
A 3-year sentence of driving recklessly without a license, but lawyers pleaded and won for probation and community service, 138 hours of which took her 6 years to complete. God damn, dude. Her family lawyers have been successful at preventing
6 years. Motherfucker, they threatened jail with me. They're like, I had to clear my 140 in, I think it was like 3 months. It was like 3 months. I had to go down there for 8-hour fucking shifts every Wednesday for like 3 months or something. It sucks so bad.
The victims of the families
I went to Arc Thrift Store on South Broadway in fucking Denver, Colorado, and I went there every Wednesday for goddamn, I don't know, it was like 3 months or something. It sucked. It was like 40 hours a month for, yeah, it was a while. It was a while. It was like 2.5 months.
Which then there's also another hit and run instance where we killed an officer, was verified under the influence, parents posted bail, and lawyers kept the legal system at bay until the son fled the country. He currently lives a lavish lifestyle in London, unaffected by his crimes. The family is worth $20 billion, paid off the victim's family with about $83,000. How generous. And currently the police chief is indicted for aiding him at his escape. 3 years ago, all of the charges were dropped. That's that Red Bull, buddy. It gives you wings. That's what they say. Gives you wings to fly to whatever country you need to go. And then we have Renee Bach. And Bach, who is not a doctor, but a homeschooled missionary, went to Uganda at the age of 19 to set up a missionary health facility at her house called Serving His Children.
See, that's what they do. See, same thing. See, I told my story before he told his, and then it's the same behavior.
Compelled by God to go to Africa to help the needy. She
just like felt like she needed to go be a missionary.
Quote, believed it was Jesus' will for her to treat malnourished children. The Serving His Children was operated from 2010 to 2015. Many people came to have your children be helped, right? A lot of kids died under her care. Once again, not a doctor. Not a doctor at all, but a missionary. The gardener that worked on the property said she dressed in a clinical lab coat, often wore a stethoscope around her neck, and could be seen medicating children. Okay, just what we were right. Not a doctor, farthest thing from a doctor. Missionary, okay? Person based in faith.
Well, yeah, but sometimes that's all there is. Like, sometimes the missionary is the only doctor in the goddamn town. If you can call it a doctor, it's not. I mean, if she's the only one with a goddamn stethoscope, then she better fucking use it when one of them has a problem, you know? I mean, I don't see why there's really, like, any guilt or problems about her helping them. I don't know.
Apparently, an American nurse who volunteered there said Bach felt, quote, God would tell her what to do for the
I
children.
like this guy. I'm going to watch more of him. Thank you, Papa Meat. I'd like to sub to your channel.
That she saw. Oh, God, Nick. She only worked with Bach for 4 months. A driver in Uganda claims that he would drive 7 to 10 bodies a week back to their villages, just from the premise alone. This went on for 8 years, which, if you speculate, it's a little over 500 people a year. So times it by 8, you got 3,500 dead Ugandans because missionary wanted to play doctor. Like, you don't think that after every dead body, she was just like, his words are muffled. Well, I can't understand. I think there might be some kind of weird interference here. In 2019, rumors circled and some of Bach's blog posts surfaced proving she was treating kids without a license and without expertise. Many people became appalled when they found out that the young white women playing doctor in Uganda were actually killing hundreds of people. When changes were brought against her, Bach claimed the first-person perspective she used in her blog posts were a character and not her, and that she had a Ugandan medical team.
Yeah, it's weird because something about it, I could tell she had also been influenced. My friend who did this had been influenced by social media. She was younger, like 2 years younger, and I swear to God, like, okay, my class, we were all druggies, but their class, like 2 years younger, they were an entirely different generation, and their social media completely dominated their lives. I watched it happen. They were on Facebook like all the time, just totally talking to each other on Facebook all the time. That was the entirety of all of their social stuff, except for when we came and found them and stuff like that. And you know, and it was like that for a while, but they got better about it. All of them did, but for a bit there, and like, you know, when like we were in high school, like social media was their lives. You could tell some social media influencer had gotten through to all these white girls, Karens, right? Who like like when they were young, and convinced them to go overseas to some place where they're very likely to be raped, maybe sexually trafficked, maybe stolen, maybe ransomed, maybe like many different things, but safe. I would say Africa is probably not very safe for a white girl. No, maybe South Africa and Cape Town, yeah, you know, or like, you know, in certain places, yeah. But I mean, like, overall, we're talking about like missionary white girl. Don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's not really that safe of a premise, especially if you're solo or whatever. So it's weird. Like, the whole thing just kind of bothered me a bit. You could tell she was doing it for the clout. It was like she came back and she expected everybody to be like. I think she had a negative experience with that. I think she came back, and we fawned over her, made a big deal over it. And we were very proud that she did it. You know, I'm not like, but you could tell. I think she thought in her mind that everybody was just going to look up to her for the rest of her life for that 1 year. And honestly, they all forgot it within a month. Everybody forgot she even did it within like a month. You could tell that affected her too, you know. And I respect her for going and doing it and trying. I do, you know. I'm not saying that she shouldn't go take the shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But she was touring. She was not trying to save the world. She was touring, you know? It bothered me.
All times when she worked, okay? The person who is named Bach in the story, that's a character. It's not a first-person interaction. My blog, which is usually meant to be like basically a public diary, it's a short story, okay? That's like based on real stuff. Bach eventually settled a Ugandan civil suit in 2020 regarding the deaths of 2 children. So what did we learn from all this? Where did we end up after this whole thing? Sure, we started with Shannon Blake. Shannon Blake. If they could all just be like Shannon Blake, we'd be okay. The world would be healed. Ayahuasca in Peru. What I wouldn't give. Unsuspecting wealthy tourists, unaccustomed to consequences or other lifestyles in their travels, discover quite often the risk of traveling to other countries. In 4 districts in India over the past 12 years, over 245 tourists have died. They're dead. They're gone. Okay? We're finding that these people don't know what they're doing. They're getting, robbed, murdered, worse. You know what I mean? All over the place. And it's all because they're just rich little aliens that walk into the world who are just like, what is this place? I feel good now. I'm going to give you a cookie. Yay! And then they go stay in their private jet and fly away. And that's what it is, right? But there's also other cases too, which are passport bros. The passport bros even are people of Western privileges who go and they look for Asian wives because they're supposedly more submissive. Sure. I don't know. I don't know the reasoning, but maybe we'll save that for another day. All I know is this. Trustafarian culture is tricky. When you're coming from a place of extreme wealth and you're trying to give back, sometimes it's worth giving back in local ways. Sometimes it's giving back in selfless ways instead of going there parading.
If she had just gone downtown and spent a year helping people on the streets... Maybe that's a selfish American thing, I guess. But I would have had I would have looked at it way, way, way differently. And I have friends who did that, too. I have friends who did that, you know. My friend who was the spiritual protege, He made sandwiches every Sunday for the people downtown for, I don't know, 20 years, something like that. His family. That's the sort of stuff that gets to me. It's like, we don't have to go to Africa to see hell, you know? It's right outside our fucking front door. The war outside our door keeps raging on. That's Taylor Swift.
Around for TikToks and Instagram photos. Maybe sometimes it's worth just looking in on yourself and saying, how do I want to help the world, and trying to actively, proactively do that. But money will corrupt any man or woman. When money's in the picture, I just don't think anything truly ever good can come out of it. Maybe at times, but I don't know. These Trustafarians and these volatourisms and influenzas, I don't know, man. Just a bunch of bad eggs, if you ask me. But that's our video today. I hope you enjoyed it. That's all for this week, guys. See ya.
Hey, look back to this one.
It was good. Frogan. Hit piece falls flat, exposes jealous streamer. Okay, whatever. Horrifying world of TV pastors. Let's do that.
Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on and sit on down, because today we're talking about the Lord. Or at least servants of the Lord. Man, I know that's all of us, but today we're going to be talking about some of the most despicable people on planet Earth, in my opinion, which are televangelists. Televangelists, you know, I feel like the reach has never been greater. Right now, I see pastors tweeting out the Lord's message. I see people doing streams on Twitch praising the Lord. TikTok lives, Instagram Reels, all kinds of stuff. It has never been an easier time to get the good word out. But televangelists are a different breed. Formed basically right at the beginning of television, it has been a big moneymaker in the church regime for a long time. And today we're going to be talking about some of the most despicable members of that. We're not going to be bashing any of the Lord's words. We're just going to be bashing the people who abuse the system. Because if there's one thing that is probably the most disgusting thing that you can do with any kind of power via TV or social media is to manipulate people who are in dire needs for salvation, and all they have to do is drain every penny from their pocket. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Wait! Ooh, I got something to tell you. You better listen up. You better listen good. The Lord has come down and He's told me something. He's told me something good. He's told me something special now. He's saying that we officially have our Gamer Subs flavor. Raw meat. Ooh, baby, and it's the best. It's a nice watermelon cantaloupe surprise that'll make you say, oh, Mama Mia, praise the Lord. And right now, you can get it at gamersubs.com. Just head on over there, get yourself a little raw meat, and use promo code PAPAMeat at checkout to get 10% off. Oh, baby. And you know what? As soon as you taste this, you'll be ordering them every goddamn month because they're that good. It comes in caffeinated, non-caffeinated versions, keto-friendly, low calories, okay? No sugar, all right? Nothing but pure goodness. Watermelon cantaloupe goodness. Perfect for any summertime needs. Hey, if there's any tithing, tithe to yourself, baby. Serve to yourself and get yourself some nice raw meat gamer subs. Support the channel, support gamer subs, and support yourself. Drink responsibly, drink tastefully. Gamer subs, raw meat. I love you. Did you know there are over 1,700 mega churches in the U.S. alone? A mega church is defined as having a weekly average of 2,000 more people, and you know, you get into stuff too where the churches, I mean, mega does not even scratch the surface to the size of some of these people's complexes. I mean, an unbelievable amount of people. Almost like every weekend you're going to see a pop star act. The stage is that big, there's that many people filling up stadiums, literal stadiums of attendees. It's pretty amazing. But with tax-exempt status, churches are big business, pulling in an estimated $74.5 billion a year, which is pretty fucked. I mean, I don't think people really fully appreciate the tax-exempt status. You know, for a lot of smaller churches where it's a mom-and-pop organization and maybe it's in a small town, having tax-exempt probably helps alleviate a lot of the things of maintaining and running the church and putting it back into the community somehow, versus being a pop idol god amongst your own peers and having tax-exempt status is fucking insane, especially whenever regular fast food workers, people who work regular 9-to-5 jobs are paying taxes every paycheck, and then you have fucking Joel Osteen over there driving Ferraris and all kinds of shit, not having to pay the government one single dime. It's pretty fucked. Which we'll get into that right now. Peter Popoff, what a great name.
Yeah, but the
Peter
government
Popoff,
loves religion.
worth $10 million, claimed to be a clairvoyant, but received messages from an earpiece from his wife, which was proven by James Randi.
She lives at 1627 10th Street. 1627 10th Street? Is that right? That's right.
Wait. Clairvoyant is where you can speak to the dead, right? What was that one show where it was like the medium? Remember the guy? He'd be like, I'm hearing a Tim, and so I'd be like, that's my husband's name. He's like, you.
Basically him.
That was him as well? Okay. Which he was great because he was almost like a shaman. And he would accurately announce home addresses and specific illnesses of audience members during his healing sermons, called his skeptics tools of the devil. What's kind of funny about this is that, I don't know the specifics of this, but I imagine that people who are showing up to the church, they probably filled out something of like, what's an ailment you have, or who's a recently deceased person, and they would probably fill that out and put it in there, and then they would have like specific seating or something.
She'd gotten her information from prayer cards filled out by the faithful before the show began.
Probably to where they could be like, oh, that's your name, this is her, you know, they have like a little form.
It'll be easier now. You can just Google up their name.
Or do you just look up somebody's Facebook? Were you pretty depressed yesterday? I was. How did you know? Everyone's like, I follow that bitch. That bitch is a doom post. She's a black pillar. For real. Good lord. Sold miracle spring water on TV. Which Peter Popoff's miracle spring water is a scam that involves respondents sleeping in the water, praying over it, and sending it back to Popoff with a donation. Pretty good deal. Also, to send thing back, the shipping cost for that, holy shit. In exchange, respondents are promised protection from disease and disability. Oh my god, that's fucked up. As well as financial prosperity. The water is said to come from Russia Spring that protected those who drank it after the Chernobyl nuclear accident. I'm sure a lot of people drink a lot of water. Yeah, nothing bad happened to the Chernobyl people at all.
Did you use the miracle? I used the miracle spring water twice, and you sent me this miracle spring water, and I followed the instructions. 2 days later, I got a check for $2,500. The following week, I got a check for $30,000. Two checks, double portion, blessed.
What does that mean? What check? Who wrote you the check? Could you be more specific?
Whose name was on the check?
Right to the check, or
you didn't prompt me that when you gave me the script. Whose name was on the check? Your name's on the check. He said, no, cut the broadcast. Cut the broadcast! His organization brings millions of dollars in a year, and no financial data is available since 2005 as they've gained non-profit status. The Lord is good. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you, Lord. One of Popoff's schemes was that he was claiming to sneak Bibles into the Soviet Union. What am I reading? What are we even talking about here? He reported that these Bibles were being floated over via helium air balloons. To facilitate this noble act, he requested large sums of money both for the large amount of Bibles he was buying and for the transportation. Popoff started getting huge sums for this effort, and when his skeptics asked him to prove the purchases of the books and balloons, he staged a burglary at his headquarters in 1985, which he later used used on subsequent broadcasts to tearfully ask for more money to pay for the damages and replace the Bibles. That is so fucking funny. What a weird thing. So the scam that you're doing for people is that you're lying and say you're going to sneak Bibles into the Soviet Union using helium balloons. Why? This is why I feel so bad, because you only see a lot of time is that people who watch this stuff or people who are like, well, those people who follow that stuff are fucking dumb anyways. I'm like, these are like well-adjusted people who are almost indoctrinated into a cult. Like, they put so much of their own faith and their belief into this thing. And I don't think that any of these people are truly stupid. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's probably some fucking dunces there. And there's probably a couple bad eggs, but I just mean, this is just sheer manipulation, especially for something that's been going on so long. It's fucking crazy, man. And also, it's kind of one of those like weird, what was that one, the Stanford prison experiment thing, where it's like anybody with a shrivel amount of power will abuse it, and then anybody who's like under that will abide by what they say and stuff. Just feels weird. I can see people kind of being in this thing where they would never question anything that he says, and God, that's so funny. Tearfully ask for the money back. What a fucking pussy. Which the biggest and highest earning of these churches is Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, which is helmed by the ever controversial Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen's net worth is over $50 million. For a man who is serving the Lord and trying to bring people to salvation, I feel like you don't need $50 million. I'm gonna go on a big limb. Maybe if he had some kind of act that he did. I'm trying to think, like if he juggled. If he did his sermons and he juggled, would that, I don't know. Even then, I'm not sure. He has one of those extremely big shit-eating grins too. It's just, it oozes with that just kind of like fake, almost like veneer mask. I hate it, but he has the prosperity theology, which believes that it is the will of God for the pious Christians to receive material gain. Kind of like that book, The Secret, I think, which is literally, if you think it'll come in, it'll come. Not that kind of come, but it'll come. He lives in a $10.5 million mansion and drives a $325,000 Ferrari. These are things that really, to any other person, you'd be like, well, hey, he's a rich guy. But to a pastor, it seems just a bit, dare I say, inappropriate to be driving a Ferrari as a pastor. It'd be so funny if a woman's just like, thank you, Joe, the service was so good. He's like, get off me, poor bitch, and just peels out. He takes a salary of $200,000 a year from the church. I doubt it. I bet it's way more than that. Yeah, on paper, he tells the government, I take $200,000 a year. It's like the same thing with like presidents, where it's like, oh, you have $300,000 or $400,000 a year salary for the rest of your life, and I'm like, oh. Yeah.
It's like Steve Jobs. I think he only gave himself $1 each year.
He gave himself $1, yeah, but it's worth billions in stocks and everything else. He claims that his money comes from his book sales. Less than 1% of the $89 million that was raised in 2017 went to any charities. The rest went into his extravagant lifestyle. And then during the COVID times, even there was a thing called care. Basically, I think everybody got like a check or something. He claimed a bunch of money. Made the statement that he didn't claim any money. I didn't claim anything. Hey, the Lord's got my back, right? But the administrative data shows that he indeed claimed $4.4 million. There's a lot of celebrities that do that. Didn't Brett Favre do something like that too? Some kind of crazy shit. And then during Hurricane Harvey in 2017, he refused to offer assistance or housing in its mega church. He had this giant coliseum that he gives his sermons to every Sunday.
No,
people were like, hey, my house, like, we're gonna die. Can you let us in? And he's like, there's too much water. He kept claiming that there was flood water surrounding the entire building. Well, we would have let people in, but there was flooded water everywhere. There's just a plethora of photos that it couldn't look more dry. It's the unfortunate thing. At least pick a lie that makes sense with video and photo proof is what I gotta say. Joel later said that they did open the doors and it always was opened. Had earlier stated that their church might open if all their shelters were full, and eventually they did open in a minimal capacity. In August of the next year, Houston Mayor Turner declared a day of honor for the church and Osteen for their efforts. Wow, what a stand-up guy. I'm pretty sure he only opened it also after there was like immense backlash. Pretty sure people were like, this guy's a fucking piece of shit, whatever. And let me tell you too, I'm pretty sure my mom has some of this dude's books and stuff. Do you think it's actually kind of an interesting thought experiment? If the majority of his wealth came from book sales, does that justify his extravagant lifestyle when the entire thing is you're preaching the Lord's word? You know what I mean?
Did he pay taxes on those book sales?
No, there's no way he paid taxes on those book sales. I doubt it. Well, even if he did, I'm just saying that, like, it's very hypocritical to be like, all you need is God, and then you give nothing back to anybody. And this is to me too, where I'm like, if it's your money, you can do whatever you want with it, but whenever you're a holier than thou kind of guy, it just seems fucking crazy. Next up, we have Jesse Duplantis, which he has a nice net worth of $20 million. What a pussy. Wow, only 20 million? Why don't you start selling some fucking books, you old bitch? Pastor, a voice of the Covenant Church. Voice of the Covenant Church. That's a fucking creepy ass voice of the Covenant Church. Claims the second coming of Christ has been delayed due to lack of donations to his congregation.
And so what has hindered all these things is because people are not doing in the financial realm, because we live in an economic world, what God's called them to do.
Come on, dude. Jesus is trying to make his way here. Can't fucking afford gas, all right? If you guys would just donate more, he'd show up faster. God, what do you not know about that? He begged his congregation to donate money so he could buy a $54 million plane after already having owned 3 private jets. Well, dude, come on. Private jets are kind of small. Turbulence is bad because they're tiny. Sometimes you need a $54 million plane. You gotta get places. I like to think that he just travels like 45 miles in his $54 million plane.
This guy's actually very funny. I have to go to the bathroom. Sorry. I'll be back. Shut my door.
Nice page out of the book of all the other superstars who fly around the world and stuff, but he's just like, I just want to go down the road.
4 jets of the apocalypse, dude.
The 4 jets of the apocalypse? People would just pay him more money, then we could get to where we need to go. And when criticized for his $54 million plane and his 3 private jets, he said, and I quote, I really believe that if Jesus was physically on earth today, he wouldn't be riding a donkey. Think about that for a minute. He'd be in an airplane preaching the gospel all over the world. What a weird, tone-deaf thing. Jesus wouldn't be riding no donkey.
He wouldn't be riding a donkey.
He'd be in a Boeing. Hell, he'd be in a jet stream, flying around, preaching the word. It's always funny when people say flying around, preaching the world, as if it's just like, it's just that convenient to just get in a jet and just be like, we're gonna go here today. And then they land and he's just like, hello. I've come to spread the good word. His house is a mega mansion, and he had it classified as a rectory. What's a rectory?
A house where a minister.
Okay, so no taxes are paid on it, because God forbid, you have to just give a little back. You know, taxes suck, right? No one likes paying taxes, but the whole thing is that you hope that it goes to something kind of good. Better roads, you know, it helps pay for all the public bullshit we have and everything. And all these greedy cocksuckers just don't want, they like, no, I have my own gold bowl that you're supposed to put money in. I don't give you money, you know what I mean? Come on. Next up, we have Jan Crouch, 50 million. Oh, Joel Osteen, watch out, huh? Started the TBN, the Trinity Broadcasting Network, with her husband Paul and fellow religious grifter couple. What do you mean by grifter? Scammer, okay. Why don't we just say scammer? Who the fuck says grifter? Like, am I in the Mad Max universe? Like, what are we talking about here? Fellow religious scammers couple.
Grifter is a common
And other
term.
religious scammers, Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, those fucking idiots. She was known for going on TV and emotionally begging for donations. I do want to see this. I love this.
Sounds like certain Twitch streamers.
It does sound like a couple Twitch streamers that I'm not going to name, but I think we might know who they are.
Last request. Said if you would just say on the air.
Dude, why did Jan Crouch kind of got me acting up a little bit, huh? That bitch is like covered in like gold chains and stuff. She has the exact outfit Xerxes was wearing when Leonidas went up and he was like, can we not just fucking call it a day?
We love you, Brenda. She will be watching because she watches 24 hours a day.
God, what a fucking loser. Watches 24 hours a day? Dude, get a fucking hobby. Good God.
Before the nightmares stopped, Jan, I had planned to commit suicide. I'm enclosing $10 to begin supporting TBN whenever I can.
This is boring. I love this top comment. My friends and I love to get drunk and watch Jan Crouch videos on YouTube. Even pissing your money away on lotto tickets is a better investment than TBN and its resident drag queen. I tell you what, this is what's kind of crazy is, I don't know if you've ever been to any acting classes or improv classes. The way that she's forcing these tears out is like watching people try to learn how to be a dramatic actor for the first time.
Is she yawning?
I don't know if she's yawning. It'd be funny if she was, or you could tell she's like putting her tongue on the roof of her mouth, whatever, and she's like, no, she's just like, I don't even. I wish somebody would just help her. Oh gosh, hot as shit. Oh my god. In March 2012, Crouch was accused by her granddaughter, a former employee and chief finance director of the network, of misappropriating network funds to spend on lavish lifestyle. Expenditures included expensive homes, private jets, massive custom wigs. I like how the massive custom wigs came after mansions, private jets, and her extremely eclectic and very large collection of big wigs. A lot of big custom wigs. She had numerous facelifts and breast augmentations. That will do, man. Come on. You're in front of the camera all day. I mean, and a $100,000 air-conditioned mobile home solely for dogs.
Oh my god.
And I already know there's gonna be some fucking stupid-ass internet people who are like, honestly, I do the same for my pups. I put that fucking dog in the fucking cage.
Puppers.
My puppers, my doggos. Jan, you're not too bad after all. $100,000 air-conditioned mobile home is so fun, though. All right, pup, you go in there and you have fun. There's just shit and piss everywhere in this nice mobile home. Also, in 2012, another of Crouch's granddaughter sued TBN, alleging that she had been molested and... God damn, by a TBN employee at the age of 13. She alleged that Jan Crouch screamed at her and blamed her for the assault. And in 2017, a year after Crouch's death, a jury awarded the granddaughter $2 million in damages for past and future mental suffering.
She get that mobile home, though.
Yeah, what happened to the mobile home? That'd be such a fucking spit in the face, dude. One of her granddaughters comes forward and she's just like, my grandma was a fucking terrible person. She, was so abusive. And they're like, that's horrible. Well, we're going to give you the dog mobile home and we hope that this helps with your mental anguish for the rest of your life. Even $2 million does not seem like nearly enough.
This is 2016 money.
2017 money. Which, you know, Jan Crouch, she had a stroke and went to hell in 2016. What an unflattering picture of her. I'll tell you what, that wig is awesome, though. She looks like the singer of Whitesnake or Cinderella. Just one of those 80s hair metal bands, like 1984. She's just like, you know, if I finger fuck you outside of a 7-Eleven? That's what it feels like to me. $2 million for... That's insulting. Especially if it's like my girl. I'd be like, no, give me fucking all of her money. All of it. I'm gonna dig up her body and spend all of her money and make her a giant ventriloquist, a bald ventriloquist puppet the public gets to play with. Be kind of good. Good joke? No? Okay. Creflo Dollar. He has a net worth of $27 million. He's a televangelist for a newly founded denomination, Christian World Changers Church. That's a bad name. CWCC. Actually, kind of sounds like an old radio thing. CWCC. Like Osteen, he preaches prosperity theology, which once again, the secret. You just gotta believe in God and it'll come to you.
You think that's escape criticism? It's like, well, I'm preaching, making a lot of money.
Oh, well, yeah, it puts you in a perfect thing of the entire thing about prosperity theology is that you'll be like, I've been doing this for a long time and nothing has come my way.
Well, it's because you have doubt. You're talking, but you're not really listening.
Or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, where it's just like,
you want to think that you're believing, but really, you're not giving your full faith, are you?
And you're like, I guess not. Well, see, don't try giving it your full faith, and I'm sure it'll work out. I mean, look at me. Now, you're going to see a bowl come by. You want to put about $4 or $5 in there for me? There you go. There to go. Creflo Dollar owns 2 Rolls Royces, a private jet, and a very, luxury real estate. Ask congregation for a $65 million jet. What is the purpose of the jets? I was thinking about, if I had this amount of money, would I really want a private jet?
You'd be among the plebs.
Well, I'm sure. I imagine that, yeah, you don't want to be among the non-mogging plebes out there, but still, is it like, it has to be something where it's like a different level of like class, where they're like, ooh, you own a private jet? You know what I mean? Same with people that have
God's angels or something, because they could fly anywhere.
Well, yeah, just be like, I don't have to ride with the poles. Claims naysayers to his Gulfstream G650 were the devil trying to discredit his service. Refuses to provide any transparency for his financials for the church. Refused to cooperate with the government probe in 2007 unless it was the IRS, but no charge was filed. What a funny picture. This thing of him smiling and then the next thing is in 2012, he attacked his 15-year-old daughter, choking and punching her.
Creflo Dollar was arrested on charges he punched and choked his teenage daughter. And as Dan Harris reports tonight, the pastor was back before his congregation preaching and pushing back.
When you read that, the absurdity of that sentence is fucking wild. I mean, look at that, dude. It literally looks like the Metallica concert in 1989 when it's like hordes of people, whatever. Look at them all standing up. They're just like, you did punch her. And you choked her out, didn't you, Creflo? I want to hear what he says, actually.
The truth is that a family conversation with our youngest daughter got emotional.
Got emotional? No shit, dude. This is, see, they gotta get these guys in the fucking ring for like WWE. This is like some real mic talk right here.
But the only thing on her neck was a prior skin abrasion from eczema.
Police say Dollar choked his 15-year-old daughter.
Dude, ain't no way he's coming out that courthouse with that Michael Cera Juno mustard yellow with the red brim. Dude's literally looking like a track athlete in the movie Juno. He's guilty. God, look at that fucking so.
Anything you want to say to your congregation?
Anything you want to say to your congregation? Show up on Sunday with smiles and money in your pocket. During this arrest or whatever, charges were dismissed after he took anger management classes. All right, I guess I'll go take the classes. Claimed that she earned it for being willful and disrespectful and fighting back against his punishments. And while also telling his congregation he never did it and that malicious witness testify against me. It's pretty good, dude.
Nobody saw. You gonna believe who or me?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody saw. You gonna believe my little bitch daughter or you gonna believe me? All right, now let's everybody open up a Bible. Like, that feels fucking insane to me. Creflo Dollar isn't the only person to get into a little bit of legal hot water amongst all these beautiful televangelists. You know, we have Taggart, sex, drugs, you name it. Taggart. Net worth of $12,000. Yeah, he's kind of a salt of the earth guy. I like that. He's a pastor of the New Life Church in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Frequently preached against same-sex marriage, which I mean, I feel like they all, you know what I mean?
Well, I think he came out as having a sexual relationship.
Oh, okay.
So we don't have. He had a sexual relationship with a gay prostitute. He was famous in Colorado. He was such a fucking asshole. He ruined like rural Colorado, you know. And then they busted him having gay sex with a gay prostitute.
activity. It's written in the Bible.
This is the, like, craziest TED Talk I've seen. Like, that stage just makes you think of a TED Talk. I'm like,
I think I know what you did last night.
good God. The weird Friends laugh track in the back.
If you send me $1,000, I won't tell your wife.
Okay. Ted Haggard, he frequently preached against same-sex marriage, you know, a lot of people do that. But in 2006, it came out that he had been having a sexual relationship with male prostitute Mike Jones and had been also using meth, which he had been purchasing from Jones for years. That had to have been an interesting, like, evolution one day, right? You know, you keep buying all this meth from me, but you never asked once to suck my cock. He's like, well, Mike Jones, could I suck your cock for some meth?
Do you think he used that as an excuse? Like, well, at first I was, just buying meth from him, but
only $200,000. But he probably fucking sucking some cock for some meth. Why not, dude? I bet you it was something where he gave me a baggie and then he like accidentally touched his hand with it. Oh, sorry. And then like emotions started to flur there, and then all of a sudden, you know what? He shows up to Mike Jones's fucking motel in the middle of the night. It's all pouring. He's like, "Can I buy some meth?" And he's like, "I'm all out." And then they start making out, start each other. I probably can't put butt fuck. that was a bit much, but when Haggard denied it, Jones provided a voicemail where Haggard was requesting meth. Became ungay and made up with his wife through a spiritual restoration process. And he went on Celebrity Wife Swap where he swapped wives with Gary Busey. What a weird... Is there any record of that voicemail?
Oh, no.
Hey, Mike. This is Ted Haggard. I really need some, I need some meth.
What?
And I'm not sucking your cock anymore, even though I really like it, and I beat my dick off to it. I can't do it anymore. Alright, just let me know. Bye.
What?
Can you take a moment and step out of the vehicle and just talk to us for a minute?
Well, we can't get into much. We're a little late for an appointment. But suspension of my senior pastor's role. I resigned from the NAB because both of those roles are based on trust. And right now my trust is questionable.
It's insane. My
you
trust
mean your
is
job and your
questionable.
life
Have you seen Mike Jones? It's insane how even in this though that he's still in pastor mode. The big smiles and everything. It's fucking crazy.
And I know that Nicole asked you to deny, but I have to ask you again, have you used meth?
No, I have not.
Liar.
The only time the smile drops is when he knows that he's just... She's like, have you used meth? As soon as he hears the word meth, he's just like... No, do you have some? No, I haven't used it. Do you have some? Are you Mike? Is that you?
And what did you call him about?
I called him to buy some meth, but I threw it away.
How good is that? I called him to buy some meth, but I threw it away. Is that not the same thing the fucking files say in To Catch a Predator? I just came here to talk. I came here because I was joking.
She's gonna buy her clothes. Going to the mall.
Me and Mike Jones are going to the mall. We're gonna get ourselves outfits, suck each other's cock, and smoke meth. What's the big deal?
And who were you buying the meth for?
No, I was buying it for me, but I never used it.
I love that smile came back, but I never used it.
I was buying it for me, but I never used it.
Have you ever used meth before?
No, I have not.
Yes, you have. You lied.
And I did not ever use it with him.
That was I heard
That
the
was
pain
just
in his voice right
cold.
there,
That
dude.
was just
He's holding back
cold.
some Brokeback Mountain tears right there, dude. I'm saying, and I never used it with him. Never. In his mind, he's just like screaming, "I miss you, Mike. I love you."
And did you ever have sex with him?
No, I did not.
Oh, dude, come on. I feel like if someone was like, "Did you ever have sex with that guy?" I feel like a lot of guys would be like, "What? No, what?" He's like, "No, I didn't." You keep shaking your head. Yes. No, I didn't have sex with him. Not once.
I was tempted. I bought it, but I never used it.
Who gets tempted by meth? Well, yeah, meth heads do. But I guess the whole thing is I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I really want to do drugs. But the first thing that you would be tempted by is meth? No, I would say no. I would say maybe like weed or cocaine, because in movie, you see that in, what movie did they glorify meth? You know what I mean? Oh, dude, you gotta try some meth. It's fucking great. Next up, we have Jim Baker. He co-hosted the show The PTL Club with his wife Tammy Faye from 1974 to 1987. Uh-oh, that's not a long run. In terms of televangelist years, that is not a long stint, dude. 13 years? Uh-oh. He got arrested, went to prison, and now he's selling doomsday food buckets. Still to this day, you get out of prison, you start selling food buckets. That's the natural progression. Creamy potato soup bulk bucket.
The soup comes in 6 gallons. It weighs almost 50 pounds. You're going to dream Jim Baker on TV. And you say, oh my God, why didn't I order something?
Oh my God. Why didn't I get that creamy potato soup bulk bucket at 50? It's $106 and 50 pounds of creamy potato soup.
I'm going to eat some more of this if you're not careful. Oh. 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 Hey. Oh, good. Oh my God.
Did you hear that?
Sounds like he's dying.
Him choking on thing. Oh God, it's so
hey.
Good. Oh.
You didn't have lunch, right? Wow.
Oh my God. Why would you taste it if you know it's gonna be that bad, dude?
Oh my God.
When he started choking on his own soup, it reminded me of the 60s episode where he does a commercial for his burgers.
I almost swallowed some of the juice.
30-day Fiesta bucket looks
some of the
so gross. Oh my God. Look at these buckets of food, dude. It's nauseous. We gotta do just a video on this guy's food bucket thing.
You could have your whole living room with end tables and coffee tables made out of food buckets. Just do it.
You could have your whole living room be in tape like of your fucking buckets that you're hiding. Imagine someone walks up their house like, what are these draped over? Oh, those are just my doomsday Jim Baker buckets of food.
Power goes out and there's no trucks running, and the EMP bomb or whatever they're talking about for these last day events. 2-gallon bucket, packs of coffee.
Yes.
You could trade them for whatsoever you want.
That's it.
You could probably get a new car.
You could trade them.
Yeah, bartering system.
Yeah, so it's like talking about a fucking bartering system here. $80 deluxe coffee and creamer bucket. I love the concept of buckets. How did he get to the bucket concept? I want to know. What are we gonna do? We're gonna sell food out of buckets, and we're gonna tell people to barter them and make their home furniture out of them. It's gonna be perfect. Wow, I could watch that all day. Which he has the survival sampler bucket, which contains 154 meals and will cost you $135. A year for 2 tasty food offers proceed at $1,100, and Peace of Mind final countdown offer with 31,000 servings for $4,500. $4,500. The food is said to taste like paper mache. That's fucking hilarious. Next up, we have, I would say, dare I say, the Titan. This is the God of gods. This is the King of kings. Of course, I am talking about Kenneth Copeland, who has a net worth between $300 and $700 million. What? What? Really? He's the founder of Eagle Mountain International Church Incorporated. And he is, really I mean, you have to have seen him. He's kind of he's a psychopath. He's a crazy guy. No one knows what to tell you. He does scam faith healing. You know, a couple people do that, but Kenneth does it better than anyone else. And he continued preaching, holding services, and demanding preachers keep congregations together during COVID, resulting in the spread of the disease. Which, you know what, dude? Some people don't give a shit about it. Kenneth Copeland didn't really give a fuck about it either. He claimed he killed off COVID with the wind of God, which I don't know if you've seen this clip, but it's pretty funny.
COVID-19!
COVID-19! COVID-19!
Burn! I hollered at the top of my voice, in the name of Jesus, you get back up there where you belong. Boy, up it went. Yeah. I messed us up. Man.
I love it, dude. Raised money to help Haiti to create an aviation relief assistance program, but ultimately spent the money in other ways.
He really needed that money. Now they're overthrown.
Oh. Abused personage by living in many million-dollar home.
Oh,
Oh, I'm hitting my speed bumps here, dude. Whatever. He has a bunch of mansions that he writes off for tax purposes. And there's the infamous video of him defending himself and his purchase of Tyler Perry's private jet.
Tyler Perry sold it to me for such a good price, I just couldn't help it.
And, you know, he calls commercial airlines long tubes filled with demons. Here, play a little clip of it.
You can't manage that today.
Right.
This dope-filled world. Right. You get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Right.
Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
Which, you know, in the end, televangelism is a scam. That's what it is. I'm sorry to tell you. I have so much hate in my heart for these people. It's unfucking believable. There's so many people out there who want to do good, so many people, especially people who follow religion, have some kind of faith in something because they're just trying to look for something better at the end of their life. You go through life being fucking kicked down to the mud, rolling around, you work jobs you fucking hate, you provide for your family that you love, and at the end of the day, sometimes people just want to feel like there is going to be something better, and these are leeches and parasites who prey off of those innocent, hardworking people, and it's so sad. You know, I want to talk about this because I've had my own personal experiences with it, with some of my family members, my family living paycheck to paycheck, and then seeing them give money to these people, go to the stores and buy their books and do all these things and try to put your faith into very obscure places, because at the end of the day, all of these people just want answers. I look at these crowds of people, it's easy to be like, what a bunch of fucking idiots, but it's hard because I also see just a bunch of people who have been manipulated, or people who have put their faith into just like something so fucking evil. You know, it's just my opinion or whatever, but all of this shit, man, it reeks with absolute. It just reeks of being just evil. That's all I have. All I know is televangelism. What a fucking mess, dude. What a fucking mess. I like Ted Haggard the most, though. What I wouldn't have given to hear that voicemail that he sent Mike Jones, man, would have been awesome. If anything, I'm gonna do a nice to lead us out. I'm gonna do a nice what I think he said.
Mike, I need some of that meth and I need some of that dick. I need back shots from you, Mike. Oh, my wife's coming. I gotta go. Mike, I love you. I love you, Mike. Mike, I love you.
And sit on down. Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on in and sit on down. Today we're talking about something that I've kind of gained a lot of interest in lately, which is asylums, right? They used to call them loony bins. I wouldn't call them that anymore, all right? I think that we've moved past that as a society. There's other ways to say mentally disturbed, mentally challenged. Some of these people aren't even, there's nothing even mentally wrong with them per se. Mostly women. Women were not treated the best in these situations, all right? But we're gonna get to that very soon. Something that's really interesting is asylums or loony bins. It's just fun to say. It's just too fun to say. Asylums in the 19th century were all designated for people that had some kind of mental thing. Like, they were trying their best to have a place to have care for these people with mental disorders, right? But things got carried away. You know, people were testing on them, just vaccines, because they're just like, fuck it, they're crazy. Just test anything on them. And then as the 20th century rolled on, it got so overpopulated and so overcrowded that funding began to drop to where these places just became literal nightmare prisons for people that had mental disabilities or epilepsy, or maybe they were a little you know, people just beat the shit out of them, did all kinds of things. And today I just kind of wanted to talk about some specific locations and some of the horrible, horrible things that happened there. Because the asylum is such a trope now, right? I think of Grave Encounters, that movie. Remember that one? Pretty sure there's one called Session 8 or Session 9, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But without further ado, let's get into it. We first tiptoe our way into the Letchworth Village, a 2,000-acre facility designed in 1911 to house 2,000 patients, which is an acre for every patient. Not a bad gig when you say it like that. It's kind of like a timeshare. You know what I mean? You get a little slice of heaven. One of their boasts was to separate epileptic from feeble-minded. You either have epilepsy, you know, if you shine a flashlight too much, you might have a seizure. To feeble-minded, that's a big net to catch. You know what I mean? Most of the time, patients with epilepsy were treated as the same as those with diminished capabilities. If you just had epilepsy, you were being put in the same area as people who were maybe just completely mentally insane. No delineation really. They're just like, fucking throw them in. Welcome to Letchworth Village. Some guy's just like, hi, I have epilepsy. I take medication. There's a guy like eating his own shit next to him. He's like, I don't know why. We're in the same room together. They even had programs for able-bodied to work and provide for the community. Pretty nice. You get a nice little job on the side as well. Almost immediately upon opening in Letchworth, it was overcrowded and filled mostly with children. The facility openly admitted to experimenting on patients, the most famous of which was the polio vaccine. The first experimental dose was given to an 8-year-old boy in 1950. This success was a contributing factor as to why Letchworth was allowed to stay open until 1996, despite the controversy and despicable conditions. So basically, they're like, listen, we have all these little kids running around. Some of them shake when you shine big bright lights at them fast. Some of them try to eat their own face, but at least we're testing out vaccines, right, guys? And it worked. And I like how people are just like, okay, well, that's all the proof. That's all the proof you need right there. Patients were separated into 3 groups at Letchworth, when all 3 terms were used in a clinical setting for psychological classifications and were defined with a well-defined set of limitations and abilities. These are the 3 group of sectors that go as followed. Idiots, okay, which was the mental capacity will never exceed that of a 2-year-old. That's apparently the definition of an idiot. Imbecile, between idiot and maximum mental capacity of a 7-year-old, and a moron, somewhere above imbecile, but will not exceed the mental capacity of a 12-year-old. And these were used by doctors, too. Well, Bryce over here, he's an imbecile. Well, Greg, you're not going home because you're a moron. Like a clipboard. Let me look through the manila folder here. You're a whack job. That's the medical terms at Harvard. You will not be seeing your family ever again. Have fun. Also, someone's going to be giving a series of vaccines to you, even though you're not sick. So that's going to be good for you. Many of the patients were unclothed because after a while in a lot of these places, people used to have gowns and stuff. It got so overpopulated that they were just like, we're not even going to fucking invest in any more gowns, which I don't think it would cost that much, but a lot of these people were totally unclothed. They were just naked walking around, shitting themselves. I mean, unbelievable. The morgue, like many facilities at the time, it was crowded, which was facilitated by the rapid spread of disease like polio, tuberculosis, and many other conditions. With a facility the size of Letchworth, it's necessitated having their own morgue, which in turn made a need for ways to transport the bodies. A death chute. How do you commission that? How do you have a contractor come in? So we're needing a tube for these nutcases. Oh, you guys, I thought you was only idiots here. No. We got tons of wackos and nut jobs. We're gonna need a death chute right here. And it's gonna go right into our own furnace room, which has now been deemed the morgue. About a mile from Letchworth is a cemetery with about 900 graves, mostly child-sized, not a single name will describe them, only numbers. All of the 900 victims, like none of them had any names, it was just their file numbers at Letchworth. How demented is that? Well, of course, your son. Oh, 0744. You can see him out there at the cemetery. Go dig around for a while. All the tombstones are stacked like Jenga piles. Like they're not even in the ground, they're just stacked up vertically like that. In the 30s and 40s, lobotomies were a very common practice throughout many asylums. Remember that? You ever see that? Take the little nail, you pop it up. People do, ooh. Or they were crazy before, and then now they're like in a vegetative state, basically. Both chemical and surgical lobotomies were performed by hammering a long metal pick, which in this case was a literal ice pick from the original surgeon's kitchen. They would go through an eye socket, through the bone, and into the brain. Chemical lobotomies were the use of neuroleptics that inhibited communication between the prefrontal cortex. Surgical lobotomies merely severs that connection physically. You either want to have some nice funny juice that makes you go to sleep, or you want the nice big ice pick that makes you go to sleep. I probably would want chemical, right?
I don't think he had anesthetic, so they're just like...
Yeah, they're like, can I have numbing cream? They're like, nah, just fucking put it up right there. Fuck that. Which I guess with one hit, you'd be, you know.
There's been times where like they hit.
They do. And then you fall down. Yeah, fuck that. That'd be terrible. Which, let's go into some of the specifics of these lobotomies. In severing the prefrontal cortex, patients often died from infection or malpractice. Remember how we said that there might be a couple hits of the hammer? That's malpractice. Okay, I think I got it. I don't know. Fuck, let's just restart. It's not like, it's like pretty much people were trying to find a stud in the wall. You're like, fuck, it's just drywall again. All right, well, let's reset. The surgery initially involved drilling a hole into the side of the skull. To simplify the surgery, the Freeman Watts prefrontal lobotomy was developed. And this guy, he developed it in 1948, and he literally used an ice pick from his own kitchen. Imagine that. 1948, too, feels weird. That feels like more of like an 1848 kind of thing. You know what I mean? Well, I'm going to use the ice pick. Why not? 1948, the war's over. I mean, just in terms of like global history, the war is done. And people are just like, all right, well, just take my ice pick. Maybe that is why he did it. I'm feeling great because the war's done. I'm just going to use my ice pick instead of going to the store. It was designed to be done with or without anesthesia. Oh my God. Freeman suggested using electroconvulsive therapy to render the patient unconscious before doing it, shocking the patient into a near coma. Well, I want to be humane. Can we at least put these 4 car batteries on the back of this chair and just give them a couple shocks? They're almost into a coma? Perfect. Let's begin. The surgery had no active benefits other than making more hostile patients that were like convulsive and stuff. It just made them more quiet, it made them more still, and just emotionally numb all around. It's not that it would necessarily stop them from hitting themselves, they would just be in a vegetative state. In 1950, the procedure was banned in the Soviet Union. The U.S. has never officially banned them, though they were said to be rare since the 1980s. Several states have banned them, though. Russia said, that's a bit too much. Out of the world to have Russia say that. And we were just like, I mean, you know, come on. We haven't officially banned them. We haven't really done it since the 80s. It's still kind of crazy. Which also makes you think, are these practices still in use today?
Electroshock therapy.
Which electroshock therapy is still. For those hysterical women. That's how the dildo was made. We're going to get into that, though. Don't worry. Many female patients were abused in the facility by care persons, employees, or other patients. Many children were born and quietly adopted out. How nice is that? You have a patient who's pregnant, and all of a sudden they're just like, just take him. You think that the doctors were pocketing some of that money? There's no way it was official. They're just like, well, we got a fresh batch of babies up here. And just give me like $30. Some of these photos are fucking crazy. What's crazy too is a lot of these asylums, like some of the pictures we're looking at here, they're just still standing today. They're just kind of boarded up, whatever.
Yeah, remember American Horror Story? They talked about the asylum quite a lot. But I feel like they were censored quite a lot, too.
But you could go inside, and there's still just a bunch of shit that's left over. It's pretty crazy. But that was Letchworth. On to the next happy place. The name of the hospital is Several's Hospital. There's not several hospitals. Kind of confusing, but that's just the way it is. Show a picture here. Look at that. I'd love to be insane here, right? It was opened in 1910 in Essex, England. The 300-acre site was the second asylum to be established in Essex. You have your hiccups the first time around, second times you do it right. In the 1950s, patients were used in psychiatric experiments with the common theme of the lobotomy. Classic. The definition of psychiatric conditions at the time permitted pregnant women to be classified as unable to perform daily tasks. So having a child outside of wedlock was a suitable reason to be admitted as insane. Think about that. I would say the majority of pregnancies I ever hear about are accidents, right? Just trying to have a good time. All of a sudden you have a baby, now you're insane. Which, to me, this translates to a bunch of rich people fucking around on the side with their mistresses, whatever. They get pregnant, then they're like, your kid's here, and they're just like, you're crazy! Take her up to the loony bin, and they give them like 15 quid. They give him 15 pounds and send her up fucking to the Essex stay, eh? Hey, I put some goopies in a minge. Send her up to Several's, would you? And hey, here's an ice pick along the way. I feel like that's actually a much darker time, but I do feel like that unironically happened probably a lot. They were noted to have been subjected to electroconvulsive therapy and lobotomy just because they had a pregnancy out of wedlock. That's a bit harsh to me. We don't see that in Planned Parenthood now. I feel like we've outgrown that, thankfully. As with most facilities of this nature, it suffered from being chronically understaffed. Several's, however, dealt with this by sedating patients with paraldehyde in order to keep them under control. Much like mothers in the 80s and 90s used NyQuil to get little me time. Remember that when you were younger and you're just like, God, I think you have a fever. Here, take this NyQuil. And all of a sudden you're sedated for 2 days and mom gets to drink her red wine and watch Sex in the City. Dun, 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 dun. I'm more of a Carrie. No, I'm more of a Miranda. Said no fucking person ever. No one ever wants to be Miranda from that show. You ever watch Sex in the City? Good show. Paraldehyde is used to treat certain convulsive disorders. It also has been used in treatments of alcoholism and the treatment of nervous and mental conditions to calm and relax patients. So basically, it's another thing that just like subdues people. A patient with what was believed to be Tourette's who made clicking noises with her tongue was encouraged to have her tongue removed to discourage the behavior. Once again, I like to think that all these doctors are always looking at clipboards and they're just like, okay, well, Rebecca keeps clicking. Go to my office and grab an old pair of scissors. I think we're going to have to remove her tongue.
Go to my office and get an old pair of scissors. That's kind of how I feel the doctors were like, too. Fucking, I don't trust humans because of this stuff, right? I really don't trust humans. I don't trust them.
Poop section next to the Neanderthals. Rebecca, are you having a good day? She's like, enjoy your snack pack. Cut that bitch's tongue out immediately. Due to lack of staff, patients were said to be lined up against the walls and hosed in a lieu of proper bathing. No more shower time. Literal just hosing. All right, they're clean. I'm pretty sure they're clean. It's all right. Depends on the hose, too. If it's like a fire hose, that shit could like peel your skin. Good God. During World War I, it was used to house soldiers who experienced shell shock, though we now know this as PTSD. It was considered a medical condition you could be given electroshock therapy and lobotomization for. You watch your friend die in war, see somebody get cut in half, see somebody get disemboweled, maybe an ice pick up your nose, maybe a couple little bolts of lightning through your head. Feel better now? Now they're just subdued. They can't express themselves, but it's just
damn it.
nightmares in their head. And the doctor's just like, look how much calmer he is. And you're just like... The culture inside of Severals, from the medical superintendent, Russell Barton himself, was said that every patient suffered two conditions.
He's very funny, actually. I'm going to go back.
The Neanderthals. Rebecca, are you having a good day? She's like, enjoy your snack pack. Cut that bitch's tongue out of me. Due to lack of staff, patients were said to be lined up against the walls and hosed in a lieu of proper bathing. No more shower time. Literal just hosing. All right, they're clean. I'm pretty sure they're clean. That's all right. Depending on the hose, too. If it's like a fire hose, that shit could like peel your skin. Good God. During World War I, it was used to house soldiers who experienced shell shock, though we now know this as PTSD. It was considered a medical condition you could be given electroshock therapy and lobotomization for. You watch your friend die in war, see somebody get cut in half, see somebody get disemboweled, maybe an ice pick up your nose, maybe a couple little bolts of lightning through your head. You feel better now? Now they're just subdued, they can't express themselves, but it's just nightmares in their head, and the doctor's just like, look how much calmer he is. And you're just like... The culture inside of Severals, from the medical superintendent, Russell Barton himself, was said that every patient suffered two conditions, their original condition and something we define institutional neurosis. Okay, big words. He described the environment itself as dangerous, so even the medical superintendent himself said, this is a dangerous place to be. You're going to come in with something, and you're going to also pick up something else because this place is so haunting. Severals kept one locked ward for women who were promiscuous by reason of mental illness alone. They like to have dirty...
You mean they were horny? Outside of marriage, right? Oh, God. You mean that they acted like somebody was attractive one time? Slap that whore in chains in the old madhouse tonight.
Trouble beings to begin with, is what they're saying. They got dirty pussies and they have dirty brains. That's what they had written on the wall. That was like a sign. It's like, take your shoes off. These women have dirty pussies, therefore dirty minds. The doctor's just like, perfect. Can we get more light on that? I want to be able to read that down the hallway. Despite the intention for this to keep promiscuous women from having sex, it did not stop the activity. It was known activity for male employees to obtain female patients after they were given electroconvulsive therapy. When they were of diminished capacity, a social worker at the time defined the occurrence as a bit dirty. That's disgusting, Nick. Do we put this in the video?
That happened.
I mean, it did happen. They would say, oh, these women who like to have sex, we're going to give them electroshock therapy. And then the staff would take advantage of those people. And then social workers would come, and in a report just said, it's a bit dirty. You kind of hope that there would be a bit more. Not even, it's not even like a thing where they're just like, I don't agree with this at Severals. Instead, it's just like, it's a bit, come on, guys. The common theme among these institutions seems to be lobotomies, the use of electroconvulsive therapy, and rampant overcrowding and understaffing. This actually looks haunting. Severals Hospital looks like a fucking maze. It's like a giant castle. It's like a labyrinth. I can't even imagine some of the, there's that great scene at the end of Amadeus. So the guy tries unaliving himself in the movie. At the end, they take him to a hospital, but they also take him to an asylum because they think he's gone mad. So as he's going around, it's just like severely overcrowded, the sounds and like the chaos. I always wondered how true that is, because in some movies you kind of get it both ways. You have the Amadeus thing where it's like absolute chaos, and then there's other movies where it's like hauntingly quiet and it's like a weird juxtaposition. If it's earlier in time, it's more chaotic because they didn't know how to lobotomize or, basically just like shock people into being a vegetative state. And then if it's newer, people are all just kind of fucking brain dead from all the fucking malpractice stuff going on. Pretty horrifying. Which leads us into our third stop, the New Jersey State Lunatic Asylum. What a name, dude. No beating around the bush on that one.
Hey, drop your fucking wackos off here. Thanks.
It's a big appeal for these asylums, too, to have, like, government funding.
A lot of it is government funded, yeah. People would make money through families paying.
Oh, so it's almost like a retirement home thing, too, where it's like you have premiums where you're like, we have a disturbed son, drop him off, and now it's like rich families paying for whatever.
It's like the Kennedys. They dropped off one of their sisters.
The Kennedys? Is it Jackie Kennedy, the woman who eats sheet metal? That's like one of my favorite memes. Anyway.
Okay, guys, I hate to say this, but I'm hungover and I'm tired and I don't have the capacity to continue. I'm sorry. I really feel like I'm about to fall asleep on stream. I'm low energy and I'm not able to supply content right now. I'm going to go to bed and stop fighting it. And I'm sorry. Most days I go for 14 hours and I have pretty religiously for some weeks, I think, but today will be kind of a shorter session. But it is a Thursday anyways, So I mean, like, you know, I think it's Thursday, right? Today's Thursday. Yeah, today's Thursday. So tomorrow should be the big day. I'm gonna take it a little bit easier today because tomorrow will be a big long 14-hour day. I know it will be, and I'll be more rested. I'm not drinking tonight, so I won't be hungover tomorrow or anything like that. And I love you guys. Just a reminder, you've been watching Skycat Live, and my website is skycat.live. A full-time variety gamer, all day, every day. Put me on in the background. Click on the cat space to donate, or come to the Twitch or the YouTube and give me a like, sub, or a follow. I hope you guys liked that PvP op today. That was a pretty fun way to start the day. Got a lot done today. And I am going to bed, and I will be up probably fairly early, I would imagine, like 5 or 6, or maybe a little later. I don't know. I'm going to go for a walk tomorrow, so probably a little later, like in the morning, like 10 maybe, and something 9, but I don't know. And on that note, I shall leave you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for paying attention to me when I couldn't pay attention to you. Goodbye.